Hello and welcome to this here channel where my friends stopped listening to me rant about movies, so now I turn to you. And today, before we get too far into 2026, it's time to rank everything. Everything that I saw that came out in 2025, all 77 movies, TV shows, and anime. Ya in or what? Alright, here we are. We got the list here. Instead of picking out randomly what I'm gonna start with or go with, there's 14 entries per row. Roll a 1d28 and see where it lands. 18. I can't count 18. 18 is Ballerina. Okay. Ballerina. So John Wick, let me tell you something about John Wick. It is just about the most recent huge franchise to blow up and become mainstream. Name two franchises past 2014. It's already been 12 years, which is kind of a long time. But I remember. It seems like only yesterday the first John Wick came out, and people were like, "That guy from The Matrix, he's back in good shit again." And indeed, he was. Keanu Reeves came back and made John Wick into a household name, and now they've got a whole franchise based off of it. They got the spin-offs with the TV shows, spin-offs in the movies, and Ballerina was the latest in this line. And it was coming out, and I was hearing like it's not the same director from John Wick. They're just kind of trying to capitalize off the franchise success, and so I wasn't too hopeful hearing that. But then, director of John Wick himself, Chad Stahelski, came in and was said to like reshoot most of the movie, or at the very least a lot of the action scenes to really pump it up, spice it up, and then I was back in. I was like, okay, so this is gonna be a legitimate John Wick movie. It's gonna be good shit. And then I watched it, and yeah, I could tell where Chad came in and spiced up the action, made it better. But apart from that, honestly, the movie was pretty forgettable. Pretty. I wouldn't even call it mid. I would say it's kind of bad. Oh well, if I would say it was bad if we didn't have the action scenes that got tuned up there. For those alone, we'll put it in the mid tier. There's some crazy action scenes, particularly the one with the flamethrowers, what people talk about. That was really cool. But it's not going to make it past mid tier. I mean, I hardly remember what happened, and I was really trying to pay attention. It was just in the core of it, besides those couple action scenes, it just wasn't John Wick in that classic sense that we've been getting it. It was cool to see Keanu Reeves come up, but it was just an Easter egg at the end of the day. All right. What's next? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alien Earth. Well, I would put it in the inconclusive tier because I haven't seen the whole thing. I was reacting to it on the channel. However, I did watch up to the second to last episode of Alien Earth. I think I saw enough of it to be able to judge it. I feel like the last episode couldn't really change where it ends up being put. I thought it had a really strong start. I really liked the first few episodes. And I was like, okay, where's it going to go? Where's it going to go? And then it just kind of kept treading water the whole way. It kind of didn't really switch things up, didn't change things up. We got introduced to like ideas in the first few episodes. And then the last episode, we were still hashing out those ideas, those storylines. It fell into that trap that a lot of TV shows do these days, where it's like in the era where TV shows are much shorter than they used to be, somehow also nothing happens from start to finish. And I feel like this is part of that trend. But it's not as bad as Ballerina. It's not nearly as bad. I would say it had enough good stuff in it. I would still call it good. I would call it good. Officially, I'll put it right there in good. Now 13. Okay, finally, this will be easy. There's 14 in a row, so 13 is right here. All right, Warfare is actually... So there's about 4 things on this list that I actually saw in January of 2026 instead of 2025. That doesn't break the rules of the list. This is about things that came out in 2025. And honestly, I don't know why I watched this. I was just sitting around bored like a week ago. I saw it come up on the TV as a recommendation. I was like, whatever, I'll watch it, I guess. And it's very unique in the ways that, they tell you at the start, oh, this was just generated from the memories of the people involved. And we're going to go in this really realistic, non-judgmental way and just show you what it's all about. And it's kind of controversial for that reason. Some people are like, "Oh, this glorifies war. This is really weird. This is making light of war." I've seen some really angry comments talking about how this is just like the most like heinous just thing that they've ever seen. But I was watching, I was looking for those aspects because obviously war is bad. Fuck that. But you watch this movie and you take it for what it is with no outside context. And what do you see? Oh, by the way, I'll spoil anything that I come. That, if you haven't seen something on this list, just kind of skip, the portion that I talk about it because I'll just assume you've seen everything as I'm talking about it. So you watch this movie, and a bunch of stupid American soldiers break into someone's house, reveal their position. They get targeted to be driven out by the locals. They make stupid decisions. They get driven out. They run away, and then the locals return in peace, and that's the last shot of the movie. And I appreciate where all the people that hate this movie are coming from, but when I'm watching it and I see that, I'm like, how could this be like a pro-war, pro-American involvement overseas type movie? I just feel like that's not what I really saw. I felt like it really showed war as pathetic. And maybe I'm making this up because objectively the people that were involved as the main characters were on set helping this be made. So maybe I'm reading it wrong at the end, but the way I saw it, it just seemed like an effective resource to remind us how stupid war is, honestly. And I believe that if you take a movie the wrong way, it's not the movie's fault. Like I was in a comment section after watching this movie, and I saw someone like, I'm 50 years old, and I watched this movie, and I'm like, where do I sign up? I'm like, how did you get that concept from watching this movie? How do you sign up for this, really? At the end of the day, I'll put it here. I'll just say it was good. But I'm open to having my mind changed in the future. 19, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, Death of a Unicorn. With Paul Rudd as someone other than Ant-Man? Imagine that. Now, this is one of those movies where... Damn, this setup is so flimsy. Why is everything shaking so much? I'm going to try to keep that down, or maybe not. I saw that short recently where the guy like tested with his audience whether he had the stable camera versus the shaky one. I mean, the shaky only works when you're holding it. Whatever. Moving on. The point is, Death of a Unicorn. I wasn't interested in it at all, but then people were like, it's really good, so I checked it out. I didn't expect to like it that much, but I ended up liking it a lot. I thought it was really fun. It was different than most movies I tend to see. It was pretty witty. The acting surprised me. I thought it was well acted. It had surprisingly good dialogue. Most movies skimp on the dialogue a lot, especially these days, it feels like. Overall, I didn't really have any complaints. It was just really fun from start to finish. It didn't really aspire to blow my mind or do anything greater. And I do feel like the unicorn design could have been a lot better. I feel like this is kind of the first thing that some like AI would generate when you think, generate a monster unicorn, and it's just like this big black unicorn. I feel like the monster design could have been a lot cooler, especially given the fact that you touch the horn and it makes you trip balls. I mean, come on. Apart from that, nothing really bad. I mean, I thought it was pretty fire, honestly. I thought it was a pretty fun time. So I'll just put it right there for now. Just pure entertainment right there. Sometimes that's all you need. Next up, 27, and that would lead us. What is this? No Other Choice coming up so soon? The 27th spot. Okay, let me tell you. I saw this last night. For some reason, I really wanted to see this specifically before doing this tier list. Because I had heard hype like you wouldn't believe around this movie. I mean, like people like Chris Stuckman, he didn't just say it was a great movie, go see it. He was like, this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life. And when I hear someone who's watched thousands of movies say this is one of the best they've ever seen, I get hype, and I check it out. And the hype was not just from him. It was everywhere I looked. Everyone who's seen it was blown away. And now I am too. Spoiler alert, I was blown away too. I loved it. It's hard to even talk about a movie like this because it's just like, just go see it. It's kind of perfect on every level. Mainly the shots. Mainly the execution. You could have a movie like this with the same plots, with the same ideas and everything, and it might suck. It might just be bad because it wasn't shot so immaculately. But this movie was shot so immaculately, I felt like I could watch it with the sound off. I was just at the edge of my seat, leaning forward the whole time. That almost never happens, and it was just go see it. Just go see it. But it's not. In S plus the GOAT tier, it's only Masterclass. what could this mean? I would give it a 9 out of 10. Just because it didn't truly make me feel like I was like a changed human. Like, I just loved the experience. I thought it was amazingly executed. But, a switch flips, when a movie hits a 10 out of 10 for me. And this didn't flip that switch, but that's not really saying anything. I would not recommend this movie any less because of that. It is amazing. Go see it. 12:11. Pluribus. They're bringing out my hot takes. I don't know. Is this going to be a hot take? We'll see. Pluribus. I've been waiting for years, for the GOAT, Vince Gilligan, to return and make a new show. After he made two of the greatest shows of all time. Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, legendary to this day. And I thought for sure, I was thinking like, there is no way, there's literally zero chance. People are talking about Park Chan-wook after No Other Choice. This guy can't miss. I was thinking the same. Vince Gilligan, he cannot miss. He hasn't missed in 13 seasons in a movie. That kind of track record is crazy. But then Pluribus comes out. Episode 1, I'm like, we're back. Vince the GOAT. He's giving me peak fiction. Episode 2 comes out. I'm still on board. Episode 3 comes out. I'm like, this might be the greatest thing ever. And then the rest of the show comes out. And I start to slowly realize, did my goat fumble? Did my goat fumble this? Now, don't get me wrong. It's really, really well made. You can see that genius behind it. They put a lot of effort into every shot, into every scene. It's full of detail. It's full of all these ideas. Here's what I'll say at the end of the day. You can't... It doesn't matter if you're Vince Gilligan. It doesn't matter if you're the genius of showmaking himself. There's one character in this show. and they don't really do much the whole time. You get to like the second to last episode, and it's like the last 4 episodes have pretty much been the same thing. I mean, a great example of the... Really, it was paced like One Piece, somehow. Somehow this was paced like One Piece. I just feel like it was too slow. Like John Campea said on his show, they never do anything. What was it? They never fail to do something in 20 minutes that they could have done in 5. I just feel like that happened a lot. I think that this would have been great if somehow they managed to put more characters in it. I mean, Rhea Seehorn is great as the main character, but it's just her, and she's acting off the entity, the other, which isn't that compelling to me. I want other humans in the show playing off each other. And it looked for a little, at least we would get one other human. But then Manousos takes the whole season traveling, and he only shows up in the last episode. I feel like he should have shown up in like episode 3, but that's where we're at. I was really disappointed by Pluribus. I think there's great stuff. I think season 2 could go in a great direction, but I just feel like we needed more characters. We needed more stuff to happen. We kind of treaded water. We kind of like meditated on the character, but a little too much. And I don't want to put it in mid. Putting it next to Ballerina seems really disrespectful, but I can't put it past good. I'll put it at... it sounds like I'm hating on it. It was just a few things that really stood out to me, but overall, it was really fun to watch all the way through. Even though it was paced really badly, just the fact that he so much attention is paid to the shots. Even when nothing's happening, it's like, okay, you could see like skill on display. And that's Pluribus. I will be tuning in for season 2. But I won't have my hopes all the way up. 24. It's Welcome to Derry. This is the last thing I watched in 2025. I watched it like December 30th. And, I knew this was coming out beforehand, but I was like, an It show? This gotta suck. Come on. Why are you making this? And then, just out of nowhere, I started hearing praise for it. I was like, wait a minute, people like this? Maybe I should check it out. And I did. And I watched it. I watched it from start to finish in one day, and yeah, it was really good. I really liked it. I enjoyed it. It was effective in everything that it tried to do. Unfortunately, what it tried to do was not that much. It was just like, oh, we're going to go through another cycle of this, except it's not going to be the classic It story. So I feel like its maximum potential was inherently limited, because it was just like, okay, honestly, it was for It fans, people who'd read the book and seen like these references and now want to see them on screen, which I've not read the book. I didn't know the references. I mean, it kind of goes through the motions, all right? Here's what things were like in the past, here's what the last cycle looked like. We're going to explore all the established rules and the established, plot points of the past. And it was really engaging. It was really entertaining. I liked the subversion of the expectations in the first episode. The effects were mostly pretty good. It's just at the end of the day, I'm like, what did it all mean? We were just kind of, it was just kind of like, we're going to expand the franchise. We're actually going to put effort into it for once, which most people don't do. But to what end? What did it really mean? It was just kind of an it story. You know what I mean? I don't know, but it was good though. Next, 14, Avatar, Fire and Ash. A surprisingly controversial movie. There's people I know who hated it, despise it. 3 out of 10, they say. Some people are blown away by it. Here's the thing about Avatar. Here's the thing about the Avatar movies. All right, some people are all pissed off. They keep saying, it's Dances with Wolves, it's Ferngully in space, it's this and that. First off, every movie is like another movie. Every movie has a million other movies that are like very similar to it. So I don't know why this gets leveled at Avatar specifically. I think people just bandwagon on this notion and try to look smart. It's like when Joker came out and people were like, well, it's just Taxi Driver. It's just the king of comedy. I watched those movies. They're not like Joker. Well, they are in the superficial sense, like the troubled white guy, turns to violence and lashing out at society. That's like a one-sentence little thing. So much in those movies happen that are very different from each other. So much in Avatar happens that you can't find anywhere else. Namely, the VFX. And that's what Avatar is really about. All right? I don't care if a story is like another story. Every story is like another story. There's only 7 basic plot lines? Something like that? So that's never been an issue to me. Nor has it been an issue of how memorable the characters are. I think that it's a valid endeavor to push the limits of VFX and to have that be your achievement in film. I went and I watched Avatar 1, the re-release in IMAX before Way of Water came out. After that, I watched The Way of Water in IMAX 3D. I watched Avatar Fire and Ash in IMAX 3D, and that's the whole point, if you ask me, is to be blown away by the best VFX that humanity has put together so far. And I think James Cameron is pretty based for that. I do. That's all I really want. And on top of that, that's not all it gives. I think the movie's genuinely better than most movies in terms of the dialogue and the characters and the way everything fits together and the themes. I think it's not mind-blowing, but it's all consistent and good. It's good enough to the point where when the VFX is insane on top of that, I end up having a really good time. And I did. I thought it was fire. Fire and Ash in the fire tier? What? Yeah. I'm an Avatar glazer, as you've noticed just now. And I don't think, I think that genuinely seeing it for the visuals is valid. And I do that. And on top of that, the movie's actually pretty good on top of that. Now, yes, I agree. It was really just Avatar 2 Part 2. It didn't enhance the VFX from Way of Water like the Way of Water did from the original Avatar. So, I can understand where the audiences have gotten tired of it. Some of them, it still made, more than $1 billion. And I think, these are the reasons for it. Also, there was too much Way of Water in a movie called Fire and Ash. I expect a lot more of that. I felt like there were some storylines that it felt like, to be realistic, we have to follow these storylines that were set up in the second one. And you don't always have to do that in your sequel. In your sequel, you can be like, well, we wrapped up that, there were some hanging threads, but we got the new thing going on here. There was nothing new here, admittedly. We just continued from the second one. We followed almost too many plot threads. The movie kind of started to crumble under the weight of its own storylines. You got 10 million characters all doing their own thing, which on the one hand is really cool to see, but on the other hand can get a little messy. And at the end of the day, I understand why people might be pissed off about this, but I was really happy with it. Fire tier. Next, 28 again. How long until I roll a 1? What's even going to be... Oh, never mind. We should wait a little bit before I roll a 1, actually. What is 28? Oh, Superman! If there's one thing you need to know about me, it's that James Gunn is my favorite director. Guardians 1, Guardians 2, Guardians 3, Suicide Squad, all 10 out of 10. That's a better hit rate with me than any director ever, and so he's my favorite. His movies are insanely good. They're exactly what I want as a comic book movie fan, are James Gunn comic book movies. and Superman is no different. You know, I could rant and rave about this movie all day long. At the end of the day, I will say it's his worst comic book movie. I do think it's worse than all three Guardians and the Suicide Squad. I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 because I feel like the action and the visuals could have been better. And this is literally a Superman. This is a comic book action movie. You know, I'm gonna grade, you know, for the story, the dialogue, the characters, and all that. But I'm also gonna grade for the action, and I don't think it was necessarily on that level of you know, the peak of comic book movies or the peak of James Gunn movies. So I love every aspect of this, but I'm not putting it in that S plus GOAT tier just yet. But I could not be happier that James Gunn is running the new DCU. Like, yes, I grew up as a Marvel fan, but now fuck Marvel. My relation, well, I mean, after Doomsday, depending on how Doomsday goes, fuck Marvel. We had the Infinity Saga, we had our fun, that's all great. Now the new DCU is here, and the reign of James Gunn, the GOAT himself, is here. I can't wait to see where he takes the new DCU. It's off to a great start. I can't wait to see the second. He's already making another Superman movie. We got Supergirl coming out this year. I still got to finish Peacemaker. Although, strange thing about that, I heard it ended really badly, which would kind of make it the biggest James Gunn miss of all time, if I agree with that. So, stay tuned for that. But yeah, Superman, there it is. Masterful, honestly. Ooh, I feel like I'm getting lots of 14s. Well, that's the fun of rolling dice. Yeah, it's random. Or something. Oh, Begonia. Begonia. This was a movie that I was on the fence for. The funny thing about it, I wasn't going to watch it until I found out that Stavy was in it. I was like, oh, I'm in now. I don't care if it's bad. I got to see what he's up to. So at the end, I was like, I can't. Was this movie bad? Was this a waste of skill in order to give this like weird little tale? But then I kept thinking, I was like, wait a minute. But it did impact me. I really enjoyed. I mean, the ending. I love endings like that. Endings, you know, like Don't Look Up, like Begonia. They hit different. I don't know. They're just a free pass for me. It was really effective. The whole movie, I was locked in. You know, everything just was progressing so smoothly. I was never taken out. I was never like, this doesn't make sense. You know, I was watching an interview the other day. They built a whole custom house for this movie. I don't know. Everything was really believable. I got really immersed. It was really offbeat. I was like, what's this about? Where's this going? At the end of the day, I don't even care. It's one of those movies where you can tell. You're just like, listen, I was really into it. Maybe I can decipher it if I watch it again. It doesn't matter. It was peak though. So would I put this in fire or masterful? I put this in the fire tier. Begonia really, not for everyone. It's not for everyone. I almost hated it, but it was made so well. I couldn't help but be in the whole way through. Obviously, Emma Stone, Todd from Breaking Bad. Forgot his name. Really, really good. Stabby, really good. But cinema. I would call this cinema. Yorgos Lanthimos, he wanted to make this movie. I think it was based off another story. I forgot exactly. Whatever the case, he made it, and he did it. He pulled it off. I was in. I don't really know what else to say right now. Next movie, I guess, 24. Again, another 24. 25, 24. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Here's where I'm going to lose everyone. There's only one movie that came out last year that got more hype than No Other Choice, you know, from what I've seen. And it's one battle after another. I've not seen a less divisive movie than this. Well, there's still a little controversy. But I mean, people are I speechless over this. I mean, everybody you hear talk about this movie, you'd think they'd seen, you know, Citizen Kane 2 came out and they got to see it. You know, and I don't go into movies that are popular wanting to be contrarian. I watch a lot of popular movies and I'm like, yeah, I see why that's popular. I like it too. I mean, we got a lot of examples coming up on this tier list, but every once in a while, a movie comes out. People love it. I got to say, I watched this. I did not get it. Not like I didn't get what was happening, but I didn't get why people liked it so much. I actually didn't understand. I don't know what to say. Like I appreciate all the messages and themes it have. I've watched people's breakdowns of it. Like I see that, but like just my process of watching the movie, I felt like I felt the 3 hours. I couldn't really get into it. Would I put it as mid? I might. I don't know. There were good performances. Yes, the car scene at the end, that was really something I've never seen before. But throughout that, I was just, I couldn't take it seriously. Maybe it wasn't meant to be taken seriously. I mean, some people think it was funny. I don't even know. I just couldn't get into it. It didn't feel like much was happening. I mean, sure, he's like running, trying to save his daughter while she's being kidnapped. But I don't know. I feel like, with stuff like No Other Choice, I feel like stuff is happening constantly. There's constantly setups and payoffs and all these different things. With one battle after another, I felt like not much happened the whole time. You know what I mean? Like in the 3 hours, it was like, well, we have the setup, and then like Leo runs around for a little bit. Okay, I don't know. I know I'm losing so much credibility with the two people that are watching this right now, but I'm gonna stick by it. This is my opinion, and there it is. It's maybe and there's a lot of times where I watch movies over again and I change my view. So maybe if I watch this again in the future, I'll see what people are hype about. But the way it stands, it didn't do it for me. It didn't do it for me. Oh, what the fuck is this? I pressed the wrong thing. 22. 22. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Dude, I remember 2 years ago, Tom Cruise, Tom Cruise, the name. He was like, I want to make Mission Impossible movies forever. And now it seems like this is the last one. Who knows, though? Because it flopped. It kind of flopped. I mean, this one was controversial. Or not, it was divided. Some people loved it. Some people were like, this is awesome. This is the ultimate, definitive finale to the Mission Impossible franchise. And it's great. I have no idea what they were smoking watching this. I have no idea. I gotta say it again. This is not even a hot take this time, because other people agree with me. This movie was bad. It was there. Look, there's a tear for it and everything. It was a bad movie. They had a bunch of attempts to to call back to the rest of the franchise, to do the grand send off of the franchise. They were tying together the previous movies, this and that. But I feel like every other Mission Impossible movie I've seen has made use of all its core features better. It had better action. They had better mask usage, better plot, dialogue. Mainly the dialogue. I feel like the dialogue was so bad in this movie. I don't know why they cooked up such a bad dialogue. The plot was all over the place. The entity is so ridiculous. I couldn't this is just not how I can ever buy an AI takeover going down. It just nothing made sense in this movie. I couldn't get behind it. It was so long. Yeah, there were a couple good action scenes, but it was also 3 hours long, and those action scenes took up like 20 minutes. So for the rest of the time, I was just like, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, that was amazing. I really liked that. And then the direct part 2 to that, and you hear stories about how they were making it up as they go along, and you're just like, okay, no wonder you're fun, but why would you make up the final Mission Impossible movie as you make it? This is what happens when you do that. Bad. All right, whatever. Next. 19. What is this? Frankenstein? It's Frankenstein. Frankenstein was really well made. I was really into it. And then it kind of ended. Really what it came down to, I was all in on this movie. I thought it did everything great. I love Oscar Isaac as Frankenstein, Jacob Elordi as Frankenstein's monster. Everything else, it progressed smoothly, well shot, whatever, all that stuff. And then at the end, I just feel like it didn't build up properly. The climactic moment of resolution between Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster is like, he's like, I forgive you, and they like make peace, and he walks off, and it didn't land for me. I didn't feel like the movie had led up to that moment where I didn't feel like it paid off in a satisfying way. I feel like if that moment landed for me, this would be one of my favorite movies of 2025. But the fact that the ending fell flat, I'm just gonna put that at fire tier, cause it was just really enjoyable. I like the disgusting process of building Frankenstein. That Guillermo del Toro. Wait, who directed this? Yeah, it was Del Toro. That's why I thought, yeah, his sensibilities when making movies, so unique to him. Good stuff. Good stuff all around. I wish I liked the ending. 11, 12, 11. The Sandman, Season 2. Did you know that this existed? I feel like this kind of just dropped and nobody said a word about it. But let me tell you, I loved it. I loved watching it. I just, it's bonus points to me when your characters are like just like such important cosmic entities. I don't know. It could have been really boring. It could have been really dumb, because what it is all these, the endless, dream, delirium, despair, desire. I realize they all start with D, their names. Destruction, and they're just living their life. They're going through it, and that could be really boring. But they pull it off because the visuals are amazing. The dialogue I thought was really, really good, and really just lended itself to this like ethereal, eternal, cosmic atmosphere where they're talking about these grand concepts. I love that stuff. I ate it up. But here's the thing. If I recall, in the first few episodes, there's this whole thing where like his lover from 10,000 years ago, who he like got pissed at and sent to hell or whatever, and he's getting her back, and that was what the first few episodes were about. And after that, like, she leaves, but he's still pining after her, and we get to a point where episode by episode, we keep calling back to this relationship between them. In the dialogue that comes up, there's references towards like how you treat, people that love you, and how you live your life, and how you face your past actions, and it all seemed to be building up to this resolution, this reconnection between them. It seemed so clear to me, but then the show goes in a completely different direction, where he actually dies and he gets replaced by his son from like season 1, and that really pissed me off because it seems so. I was like, every time a scene felt like to me that they were pointing towards this relationship and like how he's processing this. Apparently that's not what was happening. Apparently I was making that up, because we never get any. I mean, she shows up to like his funeral at the end and doesn't say a word or something. So I apparently I misread what the show was going for, but I was all in on that. And then the end, and it went in a different direction. I still loved it. I still loved watching it. I think the ending really got fumbled. I think the ending was bad. I didn't like it, but I mean, just the process of watching a show like this, there's nothing really like it. So I'm gonna put that in the fire tier. An 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 28 years later. I actually recorded a reaction for this as well, but that was 7 months ago. So maybe someday I'll edit it. I don't know. Here, let me just read my Letterboxd review for this. This is what I wrote after watching this movie, and I think this sums it up. This movie is beautiful, so very well shot, and has immaculate vibes. Not very good though. So just good. And we'll put it there. Visuals are so important in a visual medium, and this nailed the visuals. The story, kind of weird. I don't know. I'm excited for the Bone Temple though. Apparently, that people are head over heels for that one. 15. FNAF 2. No. Oh no. Okay. So at the start, we did Ballerina. I was like, Ballerina, John Wick, one of the most recent franchises to blow up, because 2014, I mean, what franchises has, originated after that besides Knives Out, and that's about it. FNAF was another one, 2014. FNAF is the one thing that I've been there since day one. I remember when it was first released, game one. I've been following it through Game Theory, through Markiplier Let's Plays, through the theories on YouTube. I've been following it for 12 years now. So, I mean, FNAF, generally, it's one of the greatest franchises of all time. I believe that. I do believe that. But I think it's time to face the idea that maybe it's gotten big enough to the point where it's releasing slop now. And just the great big machine of the FNAF franchise has passed its novel stage, has passed its indie stage. Now it's just this big thing that corporations can milk. Even though Scott Cawthon played a big part in writing this second movie. Listen, there's that video online where it's like, Scott Cawthon's not a genius. I disagree. He's a genius. But he's a genius game maker. He's not a genius filmmaker. And this movie, I was so sad watching it. After the first one, when he did that interview with like Daco, and he's like, we learned all the correct lessons from this. We know what people didn't like about the first one, and we're gonna switch that around and make the second one. Guys, it was so bad. It's not horrific. I wouldn't call it horrific tier, but who cooked this? Who came up with FNAF 2 and was like, yes, this is the spirit of the franchise. We have to release this. And it wasn't just like bad. Like, it was also like, the idea was bad, and then they executed it even worse. The acting, no effort was put into it. You know, the first movie kind of had this like weird, like non-horror, like kind of like dreamy, well, because of all the dreams, but like it was filmed like in a dreamy like way where like everything was chill and calm. There was no horror elements to the way it was filmed, and this is the same. Listen, I appreciate. Listen, I've been filling my head with FNAF Easter eggs for 12 years, but and I saw them all here. I saw them all. Oh look, it's I'm Leo. I'm pointing at the screen, this thing and that thing, and he's playing FNAF 2 in the middle of the movie. I can't get behind it anymore, okay? It's just, the movie was so bad. I have this vision of, like, what a good FNAF movie could look like, and it's nothing like this. So, you know, I'm never not going to be a FNAF fan. I'm never not going to go back and rewatch the game theories and the playthroughs. But this movie, I mean, this movie makes me weep. Makes me weep for what could have been. I'm gonna get more sad more I talk about it. So we're moving on. We're moving on to Eddington. Eddington, a movie that kind of reveals itself in its poster. This poster that has nothing to do with the movie, but you can see, you know, it's a bunch of stupid animals getting scared and running off a cliff to their death when they didn't have to do that. You know, connect the dots yourself, I guess. Ari Aster, I've got bones to pick with Ari Aster, or Ari Aster. And you know why? It's because I watched Beau is Afraid in IMAX. It was partially my fault, because at that point I didn't know that it was an Ari Aster film. But this movie, not this movie, but Beau is Afraid pissed me off more than any movie I've ever seen, at least at the time I watched it, because at the end, it was the most pretentious thing I've ever seen in my life. Spoilers for when it's like the people in this thing that so clearly is mirroring theater seating, and they just get up and start to leave as Beau is like fucking dying in the box at the end. I'm just like, this is too much. This movie was already too much. You pissed me off, and then at the end you pulled it off this like, oh, and it was just, and you're treating the audience like these people in the movie are. You're just gonna walk out of the theater, huh? Yeah, I am, and I'm gonna. Point is, you know, Ari Aster, I have a strange relation, you know, Hereditary, very good movie, but at the same time, it's like, why would you ever make this movie? It's just like depressing. You've made it with such, this is the true Bugonia is Hereditary, because it's like, it's a waste of skill. This guy has so much skill, he's so good at making movies, and he makes Hereditary. And the whole idea of Hereditary is to be like a true horror movie, where it's just like, most horror movies still for some reason have a happy ending, and this one, you know, everyone suffers and dies, the end. I don't know. Point is, Eddington's not. What is my point? I don't know. Eddington's not like any of these movies, and I think that might be for the worse. I kind of wanted him to stay with his. I haven't seen Midsommar. That's on my watch list, but I was like, I feel like this is Ari Aster holding back, and as much as I hate it when he doesn't hold back, I kind of also didn't like it when he did. But at the end of the day, it was good though. It was not that good. I felt like, you know, a lot of people have said this, and I agree. You know, it's kind of gets confused in the themes of what it's actually trying to portray. It like pays lip service to all these things. You know, COVID, people were crazy then, but you know, it just kind of comes around to not meaning that much. But it's fun to watch. You know, it's engaging. You know, like I said, he's a good filmmaker. So you know, I'll put this in the bottom of good tier. I'll put that as a good movie. I say. Another 14. Another 14, Devil May Cry. Okay, finally, we get something for the inconclusive tier. I've put everything that I watched that came out in 2025 on this, including things that I didn't finish. But if I didn't finish something, you know, sometimes I don't finish something because I know it sucks. Sometimes I just don't finish something. And that was this case. It didn't hook me at the start. I watched like 2 episodes. They weren't that good, I felt like, but it's to the point where I feel like if I watch the rest, there is a chance I would like it. So I'm just going to put it here. I only watched what I did because of a friend that's a huge Devil May Cry fan. and he was like, "Yeah, it's good. Watch it." I couldn't bring myself to, but I'm not gonna say definitively that it's in a tier over here. So this is the inconclusive tier. 20. 3, 2, 1. The Last of Us season. Why am I laughing? This is not inconclusive, but I will tell you right now, I only watched 2 episodes. I said before I'd do spoilers, but I kind of stopped. Spoilers: Joel dies in the 2nd episode, and I watched The Last of Us from season 1 until this just to see if they would kill Joel in the same way, and they did. I've not played the original games. I don't really have a strong horse in this race, but listen, I understand. People that like this, they're like, listen, it just really goes to show, everybody's the bad guy of someone else's story. You never know. Your good decision might be someone else's, nightmare decision, this and that. And that's great. I love stories like that. But this is not a story like that. In The Last of Us, Joel is so clearly, so explicitly, so extremely in the right that this little foray into morality and who's really the good guy in all this, it doesn't work here, because Joel is the good guy in all this, no matter how you slice it. They were gonna kill a kid for no reason, to make a cure that maybe would work, maybe wouldn't, and if it did, they would just control it and oppress people with it. And what Abby's dad was part of this. He deserves to die. I don't care. Like it's not. I'm not conflicted by this. If I were, then it would be peak, just like everyone's saying. But it's not. 14. 14 again. How to Train Your Dragon. Oh my goodness gracious. How to Train Your Dragon live action remake. I like to say that all art is subjective. But IP Zombies, Dogwater Swill remake pieces of shit are not art. Art is subjective. This is not art. And by the way, people say, "Oh, this was just a shot-for-shot, line-for-line remake of the original." Not even. As soon as I finished watching this fucking horrific piece of shit movie, which was literally this is the only thing that I watched this year. Well, it's not the only thing. One of a few things this year that was painful to watch. I had to push myself through it, and I couldn't even walk away because I was on a plane watching this. And trust me, that had nothing to do with how I received it. That plane screen was pretty big. I was flying across a whole ocean watching this. Listen, I watched the original How to Train Your Dragon after watching this. They cut so much of the personality, of the good lines, of the good scenes in this movie, and still made it longer than the original by 30 minutes. Here's what it is. This is what this movie is. AI Will Smith eating spaghetti 2023. That's How to Train Your Dragon live action. I also watched Lilo and Stitch for the first time this year. That's peak. And after my experience with How to Train Your Dragon live action, I am never watching the Lilo and Stitch live action. I might actually die. I might just keel over with an aneurysm watching that fucking thing. Live action remakes. Awful stuff. I gotta say. What's next? 20? That's a 20? The studio? Sure, the studio. Listen, what can I say? It's a fun little comedy. Boom, that's it. It's got lots of references for people that would get them, like me. I appreciate the references. It was a good little time, a funny little thing. That's all there is to that, Nothing too crazy. I would recommend it if you feel like you would get references that a movie about filmmaking would make. 2. That's the lowest number yet. Common Side Effects. Yes, this came out of nowhere last year. This is the type of thing you don't expect to be that good. And then it's just that good. It's just a short little, HBO show. And it fired on all cylinders. The animation was insane. Like, far beyond what it should have been, I feel like. The characters were so well written and compelling. The thing where it followed the magic mushroom. For some reason, it was really consistent in how, like, the powers worked here. I don't know. Honestly, I don't even remember it that well. I just remember that it was really good. And if they make a season 2, I'm going to watch that. I watched this early last year. And yeah, everything I can remember tells me this was actually really, really good. I remember what was the cop duo that was iconic. All that. This was a really singular thing right here. And, fuck it, I'll put it here even. Why not? This was better than Avatar 3, I guess. It was good stuff. Good stuff. 7. Lazarus. Okay. Another inconclusive one. Honestly, the premise was really interesting. What was it? Some guy, the world ends in 30 days, and there's the countdown at the end of each episode. I watched a couple episodes. This idea of we have 30 days to do this, and this guy, I forgot what even happened. The opening's really good, the ending's really good, the premise is really good. As for what actually happens in the episode to episode, I don't really remember, and that's why I dropped it. I didn't really care. So there's that. Inconclusive. Maybe if I watched the rest, it would be peak, but I'm probably not going to at this point. Although I did hear, apparently Chad Stahelski did like the action choreography on that, and I could tell it was really good. Yeah, that was really cool. But that's all there really is to say. Here's a reaction I actually did manage to put out. Love, Death, and Robots Season 4. I think it was the best Love, Death, and Robots season. It had 400 boys. Need I say more? That was insane. 400 Boys is one of the greatest short films of all time. Along with Zima Blue. That team that makes it was like Ice, 400 Boys, and Zima Blue. They know what the fuck they're doing. I want to see nothing but shorts from them in the next Love, Death, and Robots. If they make it. 20. Another 20. That's like here, right? Surely I've counted 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Here we go again. You thought my take for one paddle after another was bad. Get ready for Chainsaw Man, the movie Raze arc. And you know what? While we're at it, why not just get the other Fujimoto thing in here? The 17 to 26 anthology series of his short works or whatever it is. Guys, I understand. Everybody I know loves Chainsaw Man. Everybody. Fujimoto was voted like the most influential mangaka of 2025. You look at the Letterboxd year in review, and fucking Chainsaw Man, the Raze arc movie shows up on like 7 different categories. It's insane. And one of them is like the most likes to views ratio. Guys. Fujimoto is the most overrated mangaka. There, I said it. Chainsaw Man, not that good. Look Back, not that good. 17 to 26, not that good and problematic at many times, I feel. It's just, although some of them were peak. Some of the ones in 17 to 26, I think the first 2 in particularly, they were peak. When it comes to the Chainsaw Man movie, okay, listen. Guy gets catfished by the Bomb Devil, and then they fight for 50 minutes, all right? And they fight spectacularly. It is some of the greatest animation I've ever seen. So awesome to watch. But come on. The story is not that good. I'll get it because they had sad childhood, and now they get a brief glimpse of connecting before their childhood is sad again. I don't care. Okay, listen. You can make any character's backstory sad. That doesn't make the story good. You have to do so much more besides that. And I feel like every time I ask someone, like, why do you like Chainsaw Man? Why do you like Denji? They're like, he had a sad backstory. I mean, that means it's peak, right? Not to me, it doesn't. The animation was peak. The story, yeah, I should probably stop talking before an angry mob comes to my house and fucking eats me alive. But by the way, I would still put this in fire tier for the animation alone. But the story of Chainsaw Man, I've never understood why people glaze it so much. It's no different than any other basic, like, battle shonen. It has the same. It feels the same to me as like a My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer. It feels the same to me. But people put it on this pedestal like it's some deep, like, thoughtful meditation of anything. And I just feel like it's not. It's just not. Bro, don't you get it, bro? Denji's a horny teenager. It's so realistic. Sure, but does that make it the show peak though? Not in my mind. I'd even put this as good just because the animation went above and beyond. Listen, animation is so valid in grading something. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 just came out. It's a 2026 thing, so it's not on this list. I never cared about the story for Jujutsu Kaisen, but I love watching it because the animation is so good. And that's all you need sometimes. That's all you need. It really is. So listen, I'm not a hater. I'm a hater. I'm a Fujimoto hater. All right. I'm sure he's a wonderful guy, but I feel like he's overrated. People glaze him, and I don't see it. And I just gotta be honest. I'm gonna be honest about that. And next, K-pop Demon Hunters. K-pop Demon Hunters is a movie that blew up. It blew up. I mean, it blew up in a way that movies just don't blow up. I mean, this was crazy, the way this blew up. Insane. Next level, but I get it. And I watched it, and I was like, yeah. First off, as you know, animation glazer. Animation carried a lot. The songs were good. You know, the story, you know, basics, something we've seen in anime a million times, but it was effectively done, I would say. This is a fire movie. Straight up. I'll put it here, even. Really, the one complaint I have is, like, ironically, like, well, no, it can't be, because I already said earlier, how you take a movie versus how it was intended is not the movie's fault. So, because the movie, I feel like, does a good job of like confronting like what it means to like be obsessed with these celebrities, and they, you know, with songs like Your Idol and stuff like that, they focus on the good aspects of it and also the negative ones. But I feel like the fans really kind of only came away with the positive aspects of this and like the glorification of it, even though the movie itself confronted that. So I guess I mean, that's not even a negative in the movie. I just felt that's something I observed that I felt like mentioning. I mean, it doesn't go higher because, like I said, it is, you know, just a typical like anime story, but they executed it as well as they could have. They pulled it off. Boom. Next one. 21. 21 is Marvel Zombies. Did you know that Marvel Zombies was a thing? So yeah, the MCU has long since become just like this thing to populate Disney Plus with. I mean, for example, Marvel Zombies. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Nothing at all. Technically, there's references to What If, but you know, who cares about What If? I mean, but the thing is, they made it a 4-episode miniseries. The dialogue sucked, but like, the animation was surprisingly good. The story was interesting enough, for, you know, specifically for Marvel fans. Honestly, it was good. I put it at the good tier. You know, it was really inconsequential. It was unmemorable, but in the moment, you know, just watching 4 little Marvel episodes, you know, it was far. I mean, it's one of the best things they ever put on Disney Plus, which is not a high bar to clear, but they did it. So there's that, I guess. Marvel Zombies. $23. Imagine that. 3, My Hero Academia Vigilantes. I guess that's the thing. I watched 1 episode of it. 1 episode, that's definitively inconclusive. Although I'm willing to bet if I watched the whole thing, I'd put it in bad tier. I don't know. I have one serious takeaway from this. This guy has the power of glide, right? He glides on the ground. But he can only do it if he has 3 points of contact, right? And for some reason, he chooses to get on all fours and assume the most Aurel's position that I can imagine. Bro, just sit down. Sit down back. You can still have 3 points of contact and keep your fucking dignity. That's all I remember from that show. Why are you even gliding? You're gliding slower than people are walking. You don't need to do that down the sidewalk, especially because they're looking at you funny. You don't want them to do that? Stand up, all right? If you want to glide looking cool, especially on all fours, do it on the walls like Spider-Man. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't work. You know, maybe it's not anti-gravity, but the point is, this guy has the most Aurel's power I've ever seen in my life. Do it, and I feel sorry for him. Oh, 16. Oh, To Be Hero X. Every once in a while, I see something. I start out watching it, and I'm so taken away, swept off my feet. I'm like, this is about to be my new favorite thing of all time. And that was To Be Hero X for me. I watched the first 5 episodes in awe. I was like, the animation is spectacular. And the story, the characters, their little exploration into what makes people a hero, specifically in the context of you know, in celebrity society where people are projecting their expectations onto the celebrities, and the celebrities are kind of like, you know, they have all this power, but they're also forced to pander to the fans or whatever. They really do that exploration really well, and then episode 5 or 6 comes out, and I find out it's this anthology thing where it's like every 5 episodes we follow a different hero. And then part 2 of that I hated. I was like, first I didn't know at that time it was even anthology. I was like, why are you just jumping ship on your show from some like this goated character and setting to this completely different thing that I don't care about? And so I dropped the show at that point. Later I found out it was an anthology, and so I picked it back up to see. But I never got back into it like I was in the first 5 episodes. I hear it really ties it together and pulls it back around by the end, but I'm not. I'm on like episode 10 now, and I'm just like, this is not the show that I started watching. I don't know why it became this thing. I wanted to follow the original character the whole way through. You know, maybe I just poorly researched it when I was going to go into it. But it really, I mean, I will put it in inconclusive. If I finish it, maybe it'll be peak. But as it stands, I haven't finished it. I thought the first 5 episodes, 4 or 5, whenever they do the time skip, or not the time skip, the character switch, amazing. I loved it. Literally head over heels for it. But then they do the switch, and I was like, what is this? What is this? Inconclusive. We got the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Novocaine. Here we go. Another movie. Now, this is just one of those movies that just, all it ever set out to be was a fun little movie. And that's what we got. You know, Jack Quaid, guy who can't feel pain. He goes and he gets fucking injured. I feel like some of these injuries would, like, I don't care if you don't feel pain, like you would probably pass out from blood loss, have sustained permanent damage, but no, somehow he avoids all that. Whatever, that was a fun time. That's all I can really say. It was a fun little time. Nothing too crazy. Besides that, moving on. A 6. Andor season 2. Now, Andor season 1, I will say it just like you've heard before, is the greatest thing Star Wars has come out with since the original trilogy, by far. Andor season 1, mind-blowing, so good. Just the shots alone, you can already tell the difference between something like that and, you know, whatever other Disney Plus shows we have. Like, the shots we have establishing shots. You don't see establishing shots in so many other Disney Plus shows, or wide shots where you get to catch a landscape, dude. But Andor is filled with those, and that's just the setup. And then afterwards, you go in and you see the characters in the dialogue, and the exploration of this resistance fighting back against the Empire. That we never really got to see that perspective in Star Wars before. So amazing, literally insane. And but season 2, people said the same thing about season 2. I think season 2 did not hit me the same as season 1. I think it was still really, really good. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it the same way. Yeah, the first one, every like 3 episode arc, by the end of it, I was just like, standing ovation. This is insane, amazing. But in Andor, I was just like, yeah, that's Andor. You know, it's good. It's good stuff. I think the especially the last few episodes were really peak. I love Luthen's one of my favorite Star Wars character. I mean, Shafrilla's, he put out the Star Wars character popularity list, and Luthen was up on my top 5 easily, bro. Especially in Andor season 1, his monologue is the greatest moment in Star Wars, and we didn't get anything like that in season 2, but we got good shit. It was Andor again, and I'm happy that Star Wars has not completely gone to shit yet. So there's that. Not that I ever was a big Star Wars fan, but after Andor, I am. Predator Badlands. This is another one of those movies where I finished watching it. I'm like, yeah, you know, good job, guys. You did it. But like, why are we making this movie about this predator, this Yautja? I think for the VFX alone on this guy's face, I'll put it in good tier. I mean, it was just kind of basic, you know. This guy, you know, I got something to prove. I'm gonna kill the monster. I'm gonna kill my dad, whatever. I'm gonna do the crossover between the Alien franchise and Predator. And now it's in the same universe officially, and that's about it. I think if I was more invested in the Predator franchise as a whole, I might like it more. I know some people really loved it. But yeah, it was just kind of, you know, it was one of those movies that this is one of the movies of all time. You know, this is absolutely one of the movies that I saw in 2025. That's for sure. 16, Fantastic Four, dude. The second time I watched this in theaters, at the end, some teenager stood up and raised his arms in the air and said, that was fantastic," and nobody laughed. But it was. It was good. It was a fantastic movie. I put it in five. In fact, I put it in masterclass. Why? Was it because it was that good? Not really. It was because I will admit fully that I am biased towards Silver Surfer. I not because she was a girl in this one, but because Silver Surfer is one of my top 3 favorite comic book character designs of all time. Just in the 2007 Silver Surfer, when he was flying on that board, it was the greatest thing I've ever seen. And then we got to repeat that again this year. Is this a horrible reason to put something in masterclass? I don't care. I'll put it in masterclass because I loved watching Silver Surfer surf in space. All right, cinema. It's me watching it. Cinema. Oh, Silver Surfer. She's fucking chasing them or into a black hole, dude. Is this not the greatest thing? I love cosmic imagery. I love Silver Surfer. That carried the movie for me. On top of that, this was genuinely one of the best Marvel movies, recently. I mean, I love the family dynamic. I loved it. It was actually this like grounded story while also having these big superhero stakes. I love Galactus. I love everything about it. It was good stuff. It was good stuff. And yes, I'm very biased. I'm very biased towards the cosmic imagery in Silver Surfer. I'm biased towards that, and I'm biased towards Marvel movies. But that's not even why I put it here. It was because of those other things. They really brought it over the top. And speaking of Silver Surfer being a girl, I think I forgot to simp over Varang when I was giving my Avatar 3 ranking. I saw people. I was like, maybe I shouldn't put it out there. What the things that Varang is doing to me. But then I went online and I realized that she was doing those things to everybody, and they were freely talking about it in all the reviews. And then I was like, I was so validated. I was like, yes, dude, I can't believe the things Varang made me feel. Okay, whatever. Moving on. 18. Mickey 17. 18, Mickey 17. How about that? You know what I hate? I hate the plot of Astro Boy. And Astro Boy, we got this kid. He's the main character, right? Except he's not. He dies. He explodes. He gets vaporized. He's dead forever now. And then we follow his robot clone that's nothing like him, and was created by. The point is, whenever you're dealing with clones in movies, I tune out. I just can't. They don't even try to be like, oh, it's Mickey 17 again. We're copy pasting his memories or transferring it. No, it's just a completely new guy. So how am I supposed to care? All right, you're literally printing him over and over again, and on top of it all, they have different personalities each time. So it's like a very explicitly just a different thing every time. So it's really hard for me to get into premises like this because I'm like, who am I? This is not the same character. I don't know why you're acting like they are. I don't really care. I mean, it was well made, I guess. Mostly. Except for, I don't know. I don't remember very well. It was early last year. I remember getting pissed off at the clone stuff because I always do. And, really, I mean, what can I say? I mean, it was Dancing with Wolves and Ferngully all over again. 13. The Gorge. Huh. More like The Borge. Except it wasn't bad. I was never truly, upset watching this. But this was truly a nothing burger of a movie. This thing, it came out, in the first few months of the year on, Apple Plus or whatever. I watched it. I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Moving on. It had a cool little creature designs. That's about as deep. I mean, and the premise, where the setup where the characters are interacting across the large gorge, that was unique enough. But besides that, the movie didn't really have anything going for it at all, if you ask me. 5. Minecraft, the Minecraft movie. Minecraft movie making $1 billion, bro. Some people are like, listen, man. Minecraft movie, clearly the audiences liked it because it made $1 billion. That's not what happened, okay? It made $1 billion because it's Minecraft. And Minecraft is one of the most significant events in the entire history of human entertainment. I think objectively. And so when you make a Minecraft movie, even if it's this fucking awful slop, this fucking garbage, yeah, of course it's gonna pop off, and the people are gonna find a way to enjoy it. Okay, like doing the chicken jockey and disrupting the theaters. there was gonna be a way where this movie became popular no matter what because it's Minecraft, not because of anything intrinsic to this movie itself. Although to the movie's credit, they did make a purposeful effort in engaging the youth. You know, with the style. You know, this movie felt like I was watching a fucking Mr. Beast video, and you know there was funny moments, but at the end of the day, it was bad. And why make it an isekai? If you're gonna make a Minecraft movie, make Minecraft. Make the people in Minecraft. Is it so hard to think of, to just do Minecraft in your Minecraft movie? But no, we got to do a whole isekai where they're going there from Earth, and I hate the very conceptualization of that. Although to be fair, you know, what did I expect them to do? I guess. Number 2, Black Mirror. I watched one episode of this show, and that's enough for me to say that it was bad. I looked at lists. I was like, what's the best Black Mirror? What is it, seasons 500? And what's the best one? Common People I saw at the top of most lists, so I watched it and I was like, this is awful. What is this? I mean, I get it. You have great commentary, guys. You know, yes, you know, the capitalism and consumerism and it's all weird and bad but that doesn't mean that your little story here has to make no sense at all. This didn't make no sense. All right, for Black Mirror to be this like technologically illiterate, like I get it. Their ideas were good in this movie, in this episode, but their actual execution, where when it comes down to actually what happens step by step along the way, none of it made sense, and so I got pissed off watching this. I was like, this is dumb. Moving on. Number 26, Thunderbolts. Speaking of the revitalization of Marvel, during the pandemic, we got new CEO of Disney, and they were like, oh, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna just fucking spread our cheeks and dump whatever came out all over Disney Plus when it comes to Star Wars and Marvel, and they just absolutely drove these franchises into the ground. You know, they stripped Kevin Feige of his power, and the MCU went to shit. It was really, really bad for some time, but then they switched it up. They were like, we're gonna reduce our output. We're gonna get Bob Iger back as the CEO, and Kevin Feige is gonna be in charge again. And we have to fucking lock in for Doomsday. And they did. And so they released Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four this year, and they were really good. They were a success because they stopped focusing on just like the conception of like, well, this is a Marvel movie. It's just gonna be good. We can just throw references and whatever. They actually focused in. They were like, let me just take these characters that you don't care about, but let's make you care about them. Let's actually follow them on a story. Let's tie it into the rest of the MCU events as it's happening now, and let's give a really effective, like, you know, the exploration of depression and how to deal with it in this movie is nothing new, but they did it in a way that landed with me, and I teared up watching the end. I thought it was really effective. I really love Thunderbolts, so we put that in the fire tier, easily. Somewhere around here, put it here. Fuck it, right there. You know, I love all the Thunderbolts. They're all great, especially Sentry. You know, Yelena. It was small scale, but also like Avengers level threat and all that. They just made it work. They didn't try to be this. I mean, they had for once in a long time their finger on the pulse of the fans. Where it's like at the end, where it's like it's the new Avengers. They put it in the credits where it's like people are like, what? No, it's not. So that was in world and in real life at the same time. But it didn't matter that it was just kind of a goofy little thing to call them the New Avengers because people just liked the movie, and I liked it as well. So I'm really glad, as a Marvel fan, that I don't have to keep shitting on Marvel last year. Well, spoilers. There will be a little bit of shitting on Marvel in this video. Weapons. A movie that surprisingly dominated top 10 lists that I was looking at the end of this year. Now, it wasn't bad by any means, but it was like, watch Moist Critical's review of this, where he's like, actually, it was not scary and it was pretty goofy, and I didn't really understand why horror movies are not horror movies anymore. And it was still good. I liked the chapters, you know, where we cut to the different people's perspective on the situation, and they're building it up, but you know, how it all paid off, I agree, it was kind of goofy. I wasn't scared watching this. Maybe it's because I didn't watch it in theaters. One of my friends told me that he watched it in theaters and it was really scary there. But it was a good time. It was a well-made movie. Okay, last time I rolled a 1, I ignored it. I re-rolled, but I rolled a 1 again, and we have to confront. We have to confront Sliding Garo. I told you I'm a big Five Nights at Freddy's fan, right? All right. I told you I'm a big Marvel fan, big DC fan. But you know what else I'm a huge, massive fan of? One Punch Man. One Punch Man, especially 5 years ago, was just about my favorite thing ever. I feel like it's not just funny. It doesn't just have good animation. I feel like it's really deep, and it really actually delves into like what it means to be strong. Not like in an anime way where like you do 100 push-ups every day and then you kill God, but like it really in a mentality type of way. It really explores this with all its characters and how they behave and their ideologies. And I really like that about One Punch Man. And I like the manga. I think the manga is worse than the webcomic. It keeps trying to alter itself. To hit like a wider appeal or to be adaptable into the TV show, which apparently doesn't even matter because they included the retcon chapters in this fucking thing. Listen, I'm gonna say it right now. We got stuff left to go, but this is the worst thing of last year by far. This. I mean, holy, this gets its own tier, bro. As painful and as miserable as How to Train Your Dragon is, fucking One Punch Man season 3 is not just the worst thing this year, but it is quite possibly one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life. This thing is I can't believe it. I can't believe it. There's a bunch of animated properties on this list. A bunch of them. We're gonna come up on Smiling Friends. You know, we've already talked about other one. Listen, I don't think I've seen worse animation in my entire life, from start to finish. I don't think I've seen more panels cut out of each episode of an anime from the manga. I mean, forgetting what happened with the stuff like the Promised Neverland season 2, but when it comes to this, I've never seen a worse adaptation of something in my life. The disrespect that this fucking show was given, especially given the fact that it has such a big following and everybody loves it, and season 1 was so good, and there's such good material, and the manga has some of the best art of all time, and then you get this. I couldn't believe it I was watching Nicholas Light's reactions to it week by week, and I was on board. I was like, what the fuck? I don't care who it is to blame, okay? I don't care what kind of good or bad or unblameable or blamable people were involved in this. I'm not even going to point fingers. The point is, there's never an excuse for this to be released, all right? No matter whose fault it was, this is insanely awful. Genuinely, so bad. The filters, the 2 minutes with 9 frames in that time period, Sliding Garo. I was excited. I was excited for One Punch Man season 3, and it was worse than I could ever have imagined. And I love One Punch Man. I love it. Maybe not for long anymore. And then they announced part 2 of season 3. They announced after all this. I don't know what happened. There's all these theories. I'll tell you one thing. They made it bad on purpose. Nobody makes something like this with the intent to deliver something good. All right? Something about this was deliberately fucked up. I mean, I'm repeating myself now, but this, I mean, the more I think about this, the more brain damage I receive. So I have to move on while I still have a single brain cell left. You know, hopefully I've conveyed my view of this. This is the most disrespectful piece of. I mean, there's IP zombies where you're remaking something, you know, just for a cash grab. And then there's whatever this is. I don't even know how to define this. What is this? The worst thing I've ever seen is what it is. This is the worst thing I've ever fucking seen. The Kopi's Original Sin. This came out of nowhere. This came out of nowhere and was controversial. I also watched the Nicholas Light reactions for this where he was really drumming up the controversy. I disagree with most of the things he says there. But the point is that it got the conversation going, and I got really invested in this. And I have my own thoughts about this. I think that the ending is perhaps misunderstood at best and a fumble at worst. I'll leave that there for now. So I heard the premise. I was like, so it's gonna be this really dumb exploration into bullying that I've seen before, and it's gonna be poorly executed. But it was mind-blowingly good. They really delve into it in a way that I don't think I've ever seen before. They make it accessible and not too overbearing by having, the Tokopi, this goofy little creature, in the midst of it, but he's learning as well. There's so much to go into in this mere 6-episode miniseries, in terms of the exploration of the cycle of violence and what it's like to be bullied, what it's like to be a bully, how you reach that point. And I feel like this is a really smart show, really, really smart show. In fact, I'd even put in Masterclass, even though I genuinely think that the ending left some bit to be desired. I think it's possible to view the ending in a way where it's like, actually, this is even deeper and it reaches the next level. So this is one of those things. Just go watch it. If you're skeptical, go watch it. If you're not skeptical, go watch it. It pulls it off in a way that you're not expecting. This is a really special show. For Dawn to Dawn Season 2, unlike Chainsaw Man, Dawn to Dawn lives up to that hype. It is popular. People love it. And that's for a fucking reason, dude. This is insane. Season 1 was better. Season 2 was just as good. Whatever that means. I loved it. I mean, on all cylinders. The action. The music. There's better animation when people are just talking to each other. When people are sitting around eating fucking rice than in the entire One Punch Man Season 3. But then again, everything I've ever done to a toilet is better than the entirety of One Punch Man Season 3. So, it's the bar. I don't know. Why am I even comparing them at this point? I've moved on. Dawn to Dawn is amazing. I normally don't like romance, especially in anime. This pulls it off in spectacular fashion. It's so unique. It's so different. It's on the surface level, it's just this classic. The high school is they get powers and they fight the demons, and that's every anime ever. But this truly does it in a unique and different way. We go on to these crazy adventures where we fight the monsters, and that's crazy good. And then we go back to school and we talk and we're awkward and we're kids, and that works too. And it just strikes this perfect balance where they go back and forth constantly, and it's executed to the maximum degree. Dawn to Dawn is insane. I can't wait for Season 3. 24. I've seen 24 so many times, I feel like. Wicked for Good. Wicked for Good. Now, I think I saw it, the first Wicked at the start of this year. I think I saw it like January 1st. And I was kind of blown away. Honestly, Defying Gravity is like one of my new top 20 ending scenes to a movie of all time. I've watched this so many times. It's so good. They really did it. I'd never heard of Wicked. I didn't know anything about it. But it got hype last year, and people I know that never typically watched musicals or even movies were watching it and being like, yeah, this is great. So I watched it, and yeah, it was great. Great in all the ways everyone says. Great singing, great acting. I don't think it was too long. It was 2 hours and 40 minutes, the first one. And it flowed perfectly. I think it all built up amazingly and paid off with the Defying Gravity at the end. And then Wicked for Good is coming out, and people had already been saying since the first one, well, the second one we can't get our hopes up because the musical part 2 is worse anyways. And I think really that's the main point here when it comes to Wicked for Good. If the musical second half was worse, just change it, right? Just change it. I feel like they were too scared to change it. I heard that the idea of Wicked is the original Wizard of Oz is propaganda in this world, and it's not really how it happened. But then you watch the movie, and that is how it happened. I feel like they were too scared to change the original Wizard of Oz. They were too scared to touch it. They kept showing the characters on the side of the screen, hiding from them. It felt like they were just kind of ham-fisting the events from the original Wizard of Oz into this movie in a way that didn't give me Wicked for Good, and it also didn't give me this reimagining of the Wizard of Oz. And it also was way shorter for some reason. I feel like it could have been longer. They could have fleshed it out like they did in the first one. At the end of the day, I feel like it was like we have to, for better or worse, we have to make part 2 of the musical. But if people didn't like it anyways, why not take that chance to change it up? And I just, it was really well made, just like the first one, but it was more messy. It didn't really make much sense. They just kind of sped around the original Wizard of Oz, where I feel like they could have just rewritten the original Wizard of Oz. If that is indeed propaganda in this world, why'd you keep it so similar? And I know it wasn't exactly similar. Like the Tin Man, was completely different than the original, but it wasn't that different. Not of course, the funniest moment is when her sister literally dies. Her sister, which was comedically evil in this movie, out of nowhere, and, and she looks at the dead body under the house, and within 2 minutes, she's having a cat fight with fucking Glinda, and the sister, what's her name, is never spoken of again. It's like, so you really didn't care when your sister was telling you like, yo, you abandoned me, and you were like, nah, that's not it. Apparently that was it, because you got over her death in 2 seconds. Wicked for Good, is it good? I'd still call it good. I put it here though. Wake Up Dead Man, Knives Out. The third Knives Out movie. For some reason, I went in this kind of expecting a bad movie. I don't know why. Because I really like the first Knives Out. I really like the second Knives Out. Although I think the second Knives Out remains the worst one. I'm just going to get straight to it and say this was one of the best movies I've seen this year. Top 10, easily. It was one of those movies, it keeps progressing, and as it goes on, you get more into it, and you realize it's building up more and more, and after you watch it, you think, every time you think about the movie, you notice something else in your memory, and you're like, wait a minute, this movie had a lot going on. It had a lot to say. It had a lot to cover, and I was watching the breakdown videos where it's like, oh, here's all the ways that you could have predicted what happens, and that's how you make a murder mystery right there. I mean, it was really entertaining. Once again, as is common with movies high up on my list, it was really well shot. All the very intent-filled, purposeful framing. Whether or not the sunlight was shining on the character at a time or not, and W. Ryan Johnson. He pulled it off. I want to see a fourth Knives Out movie even. This was good stuff. Although I couldn't buy Josh Brolin as this priest. I felt like every time he was on screen, it looked like the makeup team had been on him 2 seconds ago, which is obviously what had happened. But I mean, usually movies try to balance that, where it's like they try to make him look realistic while also done up. I feel like they went too far. I feel like, I don't know. Is my complaint that Josh Brolin looked too good in this movie? I guess it is. Moving on. 10. Harley. How many of you knew that Harley Quinn season 5 even existed? I didn't know Harley Quinn season 4 existed. I also watched that before this. Harley Quinn season 1 and 2 was really great, and it was popular at the time. People were like, this is crazy stuff. It is apparently just gone on quietly in the background to go on to 5 seasons. And I couldn't hate this. It's nothing like it was at the start. They really tried to mix it up by having them move to Metropolis this season. I don't know. It didn't feel like the same show as the first few seasons. But would I call it mid? I don't know. Fuck it. I'll call it mid. There's some funny moments, but overall, they've clearly, I mean, they've really, I don't know. First off, why is Harley Quinn season 5, a show that nobody's heard of, that's just been going on in the background, nobody saw it this year, and it looks like Citizen Kane of animation compared to One Punch Man season 3. All right, more brain damage. I need to stop. I need to just, every time I think about One Punch Man season 3, I lose 10 points of IQ. I have 10 left, so I have to never do it again. What's next? 11. Oh, this is not Vigilantes. This is that main show itself. My Hero Academia season 8, the final season. My Hero Academia is one of the most popular anime of all time. And I think that's for good reason. I think the first 3 seasons were actually goated like that. They were really great. Even season 4 had some great moments. And that's half of the show. After that, we have an entire half of the show that is dog shit and makes no sense. This show did not end the way it promised to end when it started out. He's like, I'm going to become the world's next best hero. I'm going to become the next All Might. I'm going to work at McDonald's and fumble the girl, apparently. My Hero Academia is stupid. The first 3 seasons are genuinely really good, smart stuff, really entertaining, really well animated. And season 8 was insanely animated too. Such good animation. So good, but the story itself, let's be real, guys, it's so bad. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Characters, boring, useless. The entirety of Class A, I mean, technically they came in for their Avengers Endgame moment, but it was so forced. It was dumb. Let's be honest now. But listen, I will. The animation, I saw it, okay? Really good animation. This story makes no sense. Let's be real here. Zootopia 2, a movie that also made $1 billion somehow. Well, not somehow. I mean, when the furry bait gets cast, the furries come and answer, and there's a lot of them out there. Have you seen people's reactions to Zootopia? Unanimously, every single one of them, their running joke is how much they want to goon over Judy Hopps. Dude, tell me I'm wrong. Like, it's funny and all, but like, it's also not a coincidence. Like, this. Have you seen the fucking screenshot of what's his name? The fox with his like feet in the camera, like it's fucking Quentin Tarantino filming it, dude. You didn't need to do that in Zootopia 2. I started writing reviews for every movie I watched, starting with Superman on Letterboxd this year, and the one movie that I didn't write a review for since then is Zootopia 2. Why is that? Because it was forgettable. I don't care. It was not bad by any means. It was all fine and dandy, but it was just so, it was like, whatever. This is another, the characters are here, they're going through antics. None of it means anything to me, honestly. So I'm just gonna have to put it in the mid tier and go next. 12, One Piece. Okay. One Piece. Okay, this might be my last hot take of the day. But, is it even a hot take? Is it a hot take? So the One Piece Egghead finished this year. Season 1 of One Piece, actually. After 26 years, Season 1 of One Piece finished. I'm looking forward to Elbaf next year. My hopes aren't high. Listen, One Piece is amazing. It is. And let me tell you what else about One Piece. The One Piece anime is the worst adaptation of all time. Okay? Can we be honest here? It is the worst adaptation of all time. The pacing, not just the pacing, but the animation, aside from those like 2 minutes every 3 episodes where the animation goes crazy, the animation's pretty lazy. The ancient sound effects, the shot composition, they're even stretching out with the One Piece while cutting panels still. If you compare episode by episode, even in Egghead, they're doing crazy One Piece shenanigans like they always have been, and they're still cutting out panels. If you're gonna drag it out for that long, at least put the content in that's in the manga. I love the manga. It's peak. One Piece is peak, and I've watched every episode of One Piece twice, 2 times. And I can say with good authority, after watching a lot more animation in my life, and a lot more fiction in general, use your imagination, guys. This could be executed to such insane extent. Okay, it really could be. I'm literally going to put it in horrific tier. Not below How to Train Your Dragon. But I would put One Piece in there pretty much from the start of One Piece. Okay, I first got introduced to One Piece with the anime. I fell in love with One Piece by watching the anime on double speed. To be clear, because it's just, and it's not just the pacing. Again, it is just how the shot composition, the way everything progresses. It's so bad. It's so bad. If you're honest with yourself, it's so bad. Now, I watch every episode of One Piece that comes out. I do. I say this so that I can say with good authority. Listen, I want it to be good, and a lot of times people, they want things to be good, and so they delude themselves in their minds to thinking it's good. There's been a lot of really good animation. They're upping the animation a lot in Egghead. There were some crazy scenes, admittedly. All right, but the anime as a whole, when you take it episode by episode and really think about it and judge it as to the potential. I mean, look at JJK Season 3. That's taking a manga that's kind of mid and elevating it to this thing that blows my mind. You'd think this was the highest form of art watching JJK Season 3, and it kind of is just because of how geniusly they're executing it. And then you watch One Piece. The animation is not up there, except when they go all out every once in a while. The pacing is awful. The dialogue, they repeat a million things. You never know what to focus on. If you read the chapters, there's significant stuff chapter by chapter. If you watch the episode, you can't tell what's significant or not because they're just vomiting bullshit. Listen, I'll go on this rant another time, okay? For now, suffice it to say, I'm gonna stick by this. Granted, One Punch Man Season 3 is a worse adaptation in those 12 episodes, but when we take the fact that One Piece has been doing this my entire life, and the fans eat it up, I cannot be part of this, okay? I have to not partake in lowering the bar to the point where Toei feels like they can just open their fucking pants on us and expect us to take it. Y'all take it. I'm not gonna take it, okay? There's a lot of good episodes of One Piece, okay, to be clear. But when you take it as a whole, you just can't deny, okay? When you watch other anime, when you watch other fiction, when you consume it, and you look at how they portray, how they actually put it together, One Piece is incomparably awful compared to it, okay? Honestly. Let's just say it out loud, okay? I'm tired of people being too scared to say it or deluding themselves into not thinking this is the case. Today you've heard the truth, okay? You've heard the truth. I'll leave it at that. Next. 23. I'm excited for the One Piece live action though. I'm excited for Elbaf. I'm excited. I'm reading the manga week to week. I'm still gonna watch Elbaf in the anime when it comes out. And if it's bad, then I will report back and I will say so. And if it's not, I'll report back and I'll say that too. What was this? 23. 23. Snow White. Oh God. This is How to Train Your Dragon. Here's a great review. Wait a minute. Here's a great. So me and my friend watched the movie Cube, and in the movie Cube, there's a quote at one point, and he used this quote as his review of the movie, and here it is. You know, and this is in the think about how people were talking about this movie. All right, either they were like, it's fine, it's whatever, or they were like, this is actually a conspiracy. This is a conspiracy to do whatever, you know, inflict agenda on us, do this, whatever. Listen to this. It's a quote from Cube. This may be hard for you to understand, but there is no conspiracy. Nobody's in charge. It's a headless blunder operating under the illusion of a master plan. Can you grasp that? Big Brother is not watching you. I looked and the only conclusion I can come up with is that there's nobody up there. We know more than anybody else. I mean, somebody might have known sometime before they got fired or voted out or sold it. But if this place ever had a purpose, then it got miscommunicated or lost in a shuffle. I mean, this is an accident. A forgotten perpetual public works project. You think anybody wants to ask questions? All they want is a clear conscience and a fat paycheck. I leaned on my shovel for months on this one. This was a great job. And that's Snow White, okay? There's no crazy conspiracy of this or that or the other. This is just a studio who thinks that this is the next move. This is what's going to make the money because it's just part of that machine. And the audience that is not like people that are immersed in this like me, who are just like, oh, they're remaking this thing I like. Oh, I'll go check it out and I'll watch it and I won't think either way about it. But they're partaking, okay? This is not, there's nothing deeper to it. It's just the next thing. It's the next thing the studio made. They didn't care. There was no intent behind it. They were all reactionary. You know, people didn't like the dwarves, so they cast other people. They didn't like that, so they CGI'd them. They didn't like that, whatever. The movie's coming out, and it's whatever. That's Snow White. It's a zombie. It's awful. 4. Invincible Season 3. Okay, I said I was done with my hot takes. I'm not done with my hot takes. Invincible Season 3, let me be honest, okay? So I've been glazing animation so far. Animation can do you a lot. Visuals can do you a lot in your movie, all right? Or they can hold it back, okay? They can hold it back. I love the Invincible stories. I love the comics. I love Season 1. Season 3, it's poorly animated, okay? Now again, you can make up any excuse you want, but at the end of the day, this is the premier TV, like, animated show in the West right now, Invincible. That's the only one. Like, what are the other ones? And this is what it looks like? This is what we've got? I'm not going to go in the whole rant, but like this literally set me off this year on a whole journey to appreciate animation more. Because I was watching this, and I was like, okay, the dialogue is bad. The story stopped making sense. It has the worst power scaling of anything I've ever seen. But on top of it all, why aren't you animating anything? At the or not even animating, the characters don't even make expressions half the time. And that was honestly the biggest difference between this and the first season. Is not necessarily the animation is different, but at least it has personality. At least they're making expressions. This was lazy, okay? I don't care who's to blame. It didn't have to be this way. Like, after this, I started comparing everything I watched this year to Invincible. I would see, Harley Quinn Season 5. Harley Quinn Season 5 looks better than Invincible? What's your excuse now? Anything else this year that I saw fucking episodes of Gentry Chow. Who the fuck watches that? Probably a bunch of people, but not as many people as Invincible, and that looks insane compared to Invincible. There's no excuse for it. There really isn't. The show is kind of bad on every level, honestly, and the thing is, people loved it. People loved it, and they were like, I don't care, the animation's actually not that bad, the story's actually not that bad. I'm happy for you. I'm not here to tell you what to like. If you liked Invincible Season 3, I support you entirely, and you're not wrong, all right? All art is subjective. You go forth and be happy, and you like things, all right? And I like liking things too, but if it's Invincible Season 3, there's no amount of mental gymnastics that I can perform to make me like this, and so I won't. 2. Daredevil Born Again. Now here comes that Marvel slander. Spoiler alert. that Marvel. So several years ago, right? Because I was talking before about the turnaround where Kevin Feige got his power back, and we're gonna get the Marvel Cinematic Universe back on track, right? A few years ago, they announced they're making the new Daredevil show, right? And I was like, yes, this is amazing. And then recently they announced, actually, wait a minute, this sucks. We don't even have Daredevil suit up. It's this like weird comedic legal procedural, and none of the past characters are showing back up. And people are like, what the fuck? Why are we doing that? But they were like, actually, no. In this announcement, we're gonna scrap it all, and we're gonna do it again, and we're gonna bring back the Punisher. We're gonna bring back Karen and Foggy. We're gonna bring back Kingpin, and it's gonna be goated. It's gonna be basically season 4 of the original show. And the original show is amazing. All 3 seasons, really good. Season 2 by far the worst, but season 1 and 3 especially of Daredevil. Netflix, very good. And then this comes out, and I start watching it, and I realize I've been lied to. It was all a joke. They never scrapped the whole thing. They never did. They refilmed they filmed a different rest of it, but they kept what they had already filmed. And then what you get is this weird little Frankenstein monster of a show, where it's like clearly 2 different shows coming together. They didn't even bring back Karen and Foggy. They're not in it, except for in the first and last episode or whatever. And then Foggy fucking dies. Kingpin and Vanessa are completely different characters than they were in the show. And I was really disappointed. I was like, you guys told me you scrapped it in order to make it right, but you didn't scrap it. You made it even worse than if you just gone with the original thing, where I could dissociate and be like, well, this is a new Daredevil anyways. Now it's supposed to be the old Daredevil, but it's just this weird amalgamation show of stuff that they denounced. It was bad. The more I think about the show, the more upset I get about it. There was a couple good moments. There's like one good scene where he talks to Punisher. If I recall, I'm still excited for season 2 because at least they're gonna be filming that, without mixing it together with some other show. But as it stands, I could not get behind this. And some people liked it somehow. I could not buy it at all. This was awful stuff. Oh, a 1. More Marvel slander. Here we go. Captain America 4. Remember in 2008, 18 years ago, when we set up the leader in the MCU? Remember that? Remember how everyone was like, I can't wait till he returns, dude. This is going to be hype and insane, dude. Well, here it is. Listen, I couldn't be that mad at this movie, even though it also is an amalgamation of like 10 different reshoots. This is the last product that they released, this and Daredevil, before the true like turnaround, where they're trying to course correct with the MCU. And this really shows. I mean, this is like they were like, we're gonna bring in the Serpent Society and the leader, and it's gonna be deeply entrenched in everything Marvel that came before. Well, it doesn't matter if your fucking movie's ass, dude. This movie, and also if you watch The Winter Soldier, which in the timeline of the MCU came out like 15 years ago, they're working with insane sci-fi level technology that is nowhere to be found in this movie. In this movie, they're dealing with like, oh, this guy has wings and a gun, and everybody else has guns. Where's the fucking sci-fi tech that we know exists in the Marvel universe? This movie was so low level. It didn't make any sense. But while I was watching it, I wasn't mad. I wasn't mad like I was mad when I was watching Daredevil or like, things here. So I have to put it. It's like it's very low on the mid tier, but I feel like it doesn't deserve to go quite down to bad tier. But it was really forgettable. I like the Red Hulk CGI, if that counts for anything. But that's about it. 15. The Running Man. Dude. Baby Driver? Come on. One of the coolest, most electric movies. And then we get this, and it's like, but I thought the same guy. I thought Edgar Wright made both movies. Apparently not, because he was not pulling off that electricity with this one for some reason. But it was good. It was still Edgar Wright. Deep down, I had fun with it. But I do feel like it suffers from the same thing that the original movie suffers, where like the public turns around too quickly at the end. I feel like the movie had like 5 different endings. It went on for too long. There was confusing things. The messaging was like really in your face and ham-fisted. But apart from that, like it was fun to watch. Fucking Glenn Powell, he's just running around. He's the running man. What can I say? I might even put it all the way up in good tier because I genuinely enjoyed it. It's just like it had a couple aspects of it that stuck out like a sore thumb. Ain't gonna lie. Nezatu. Nezatu, bro. Cinema, bro. This, let me tell you, Nezatu came out of nowhere. I saw this Shafrila's video. He put me onto that. I watched the first movie. Even the first movie is really good. I watched it twice this year, and then I watched this one twice in theaters. I mean, wow. Where do I begin, bro? So I have two minor issues with this movie. Two minor ones. There's a lot of gross out humor. There's a lot of like asides where we pause the whole movie to do a gag. I couldn't get behind that. All right, that keeps this movie from being a 10 out of 10. Spoilers, it's not a 10 out of 10. That was the one issue. There's the second issue, which is that the animation style changes throughout based on, you know, what character we're having or whether or not it's the background of the characters, and that kind of took me out a little bit. But apart from that, this movie blew my mind. Not just because the animation was insane, besides the minor critique I have, but because, I mean, talking about doing the anime thing but to the max, this really just does that. Honestly, it had crazy larger than life characters that were all fleshed out, you know, all their powers and abilities, you know, made sense and were consistently delivered to us. The world building was like clear for someone like me who doesn't know anything about the mythology this is pulling from. It just fired on all cylinders. It has some of the most insane visuals ever. It has compelling characters. For someone like me who loves just like anime action, animated visuals, to have those put onto a story of this quality that builds off the first one so well and also does its own new thing. I mean, I like this movie so much. I'm not even reviewing it well right now. I don't even know what to say except like, you know, they don't make them like this. They just don't make them like this, and this blew my mind. You know, I'm a sub guy, but I still watched it in English just to see it in IMAX, and it was so cool to see. I mean, if you like visuals, watch this. If you like that classic anime storytelling where we rise up against, you know, the system and through the power of friendship and love, you know, we forge the new era ourselves, you know, all that stuff. It's just all in there, and it's so insanely cool to see, and you know, surprisingly emotional on top of it all. I could not recommend enough. I could not get enough of this. This blows, you know, I'm a huge Marvel DC fan. This blows those out of the water. This blows everything out of the water that I've seen this year, and for the longest time it was my favorite movie of the year ever since I saw it in like February, March. So insane. Yeah, I feel like I haven't done it justice, but like I don't even, just watch it, you know? Just watch it if you haven't. 17, The Great Flood. Wow, The Great Flood. I don't know why I watched this. Well, I do. It's because I was bored. I was trying to find ways to procrastinate. I saw it on Netflix and I watched it on Netflix. This movie is so bad. It's such a bad movie. It was so before long I was so bored that I considered it a challenge. I was like, I'm going to get through this movie to the end because I don't have a short attention span. I'm him like that. And so I watched it, and it's not, so it's bad, sure, but I admire this. Out of everything on the low tiers, this one had the most potential because this one was so ambitious. It was trying to be Groundhog Day and The Matrix and a disaster movie, you know, all at once. It was trying to grapple with all these things throughout. I mean, it failed to do so. It had so many useless scenes. It was so boring, but I could see the vision. I could see the vision in this movie, and it could have been honestly one of the greatest things ever if it were pulled off, but it wasn't. It wasn't pulled off. It was bad, and that's that. Oh, a one again. How about that? Where we're at with the ones. Companion. Companion was a movie that got a little bit of hype earlier this year. People liked it. Another Jack Quaid movie. This was one of those things where the premise lost me again. It lost me because I'm like, this is a world where you're suggesting to me that we've reached true AGI, and I don't see it being used anywhere for any. The world is completely identical to ours, except for the fact that we only implemented this in our sex dolls, which obviously if we make AGI, people are going to make sex dolls out of it, but they're going to do other stuff. The world will be transformed. I feel like the world building was not fleshed out enough. They have this one thing with crazy technology that's not used anywhere else. I couldn't get behind that. The movie was good though. Besides that, there was a little twist, you know, that they shouldn't have put in the trailers. Jack Quaid's girlfriend is actually a robot. Because the thing is, they portray it as a twist in the movie, but then they put it in the marketing. If they, you know, there was a disconnect there in the decision making. But you know, whatever. 27. Oh, there's no more. There's not 27 stuff left. So let's just back down. It's like, what is it, like 19? We're almost done here. Go on 19, 13. Tron Ares. Tron Ares. I rewatched Tron Legacy. Actually, I watched it for the first. I thought I'd watched it, but I watched Tron Legacy and the original Tron this year. Both of them are so much better than this. And even watching this, I could see like where I'm appreciating this more because it's taking from those last two movies a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's IP slop. It's an IP zombie. This movie was so boring. Nothing happened. The visuals were. I feel like, how did Tron Legacy keep you in the Tron universe, in the grid, the whole time, basically the entire time, and have all these cool action sequences? And this was like in the real world with people just like talking the whole time. What was up with that? Nothing happened in this. This was such. This out of everything I've watched this year, felt like I had a lobotomy watching it. I was just like, huh? Whatever. This is bad. This is really bad. I wouldn't put it in a horrific tier. Horrific is truly a special tier, but it was straight. It was bottom of bad tier. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone under any circumstance. And some people are like, it was worth it for the soundtrack alone. Go watch the soundtrack separately then. Trust me, it did not. I was watching the movie. They're having basic ass shots where nothing's happening and having this banging soundtrack. The movie did not deserve the soundtrack. Go watch that separately. You don't even put that in the movie. Number 13. All right, fuck the dice, bro. We'll just rank the rest. Final Destination, Bloodlines. This was my second Final Destination movie. I saw the second Final Destination movie a few months before this, or maybe after this. Yeah, no, after this came out, I saw the second one because people are saying this was really good. And when it comes to Final Destination, I've since watched every Final Destination movie twice, including this one. This was the year of Final Destination for me. I became a fan, even though every movie's the same. Every movie's stupid. You know, the accident happens, one person survives, they die in goofy ways throughout the rest. You know, Death, you know, cooks his little Rube Goldberg contraption and he fucking destroys them. That's it. That's the whole thing. Only the first one really tried to have like a point to this, where it's like, the fear of death. You know, death as the villain. You know, was this new thing. But now it's just like, now we just got the Final Destination formula. Whatever. It's tried and true and tested, and this was more of the same. You know, this movie is, you know, it doesn't mean anything, but it was so fun to watch. It really was. So I put it here. Yeah, no, it's just funny. It's basically a comedy. Like, is this a horror movie? They're basically all comedies. You watch them and it's like, oh, how is it? Are they gonna get impaled this way? Maybe their head's gonna blow up in this other way, and that's just the whole thing. And the reason why people like this is because they actually put effort into the movie surrounding this tried and true premise, especially in this one. For example, the flashback was not to herself dying, but it was, you know, the original, you know, the whole group of people that was saved, and then Death has been tracking them down for a year. It was a little twist on the formula, but still keeping it the same, and it paid off. It was fun. It was a fun time, I gotta say. Let's just go in reverse order. Supercube. This is Supercube. Supercube became popular this year because of the animation scenes. The action scenes. There's in particular that one, like, it was like 7-minute scene where they're fighting in like the constructed building, the building under construction, and it's just it's just nonstop ridiculous. Like, I don't know how they made this. I don't know what Supercube is about though. I watched they had the episodes on YouTube, and so I started watching it, and then they took them off YouTube, so I didn't continue. And I've just watched clips of the action. I don't care what it's about. If the action is this good in a show like this, I put it fire. Like, this, insane. Like, you don't need to have your show be about anything if you put this much effort into the visuals. Honestly, I believe that. Bro, I forgot this was on the list. Doctor Who. Bro, no. Let me tell you something about Doctor Who. Holy shit. The exitated Atom summoned the Bone Beasts. We have to double the galvanized beams. Holy shit, dude. That was almost word for word an actual quote from this episode. I watched one episode of Doctor Who this year, and it was the Reality War. And I don't know if I was drunk when I started watching it, or if I had to start drinking while watching it. Doctor Who is not even bad anymore. It's just a joke, bro. I think it surpasses One Punch Man. What the This was the most nonsensical thing that I've seen, and it was also by far the most entertained I've been all year. I have not been on the edge of my seat repeating back the lines to what I've been watching so much for anything this year. This was the most nonsensical thing I've ever witnessed, and I first discovered Doctor Who like 15 years ago. 12 years ago? 12, 11? I watched The Doctor, the 9th through the 13th Doctor. Doctor Who was killing it in that period. It was really good, and it had storylines that would stretch across multiple seasons and go backwards and forwards in time, just like the TARDIS. It was so good. And then now, whatever. The Doctor is a girl. The Doctor's a black guy. Who cares? All right? It sucks. I don't know who's running the show right now, but this was the most nonsense thing I've ever witnessed, dude. Every time I tune back into like current Doctor Who these days, I'm watching it do Doctor Who fans still exist? Is there anybody that watches this fucking thing? This is insane. Like, I can't even put it in horrific tier. I don't even know. This goes off the list, but like, does this even count as I mean, it was entertaining, bro. I was so entertained at how insanely awful it was. I mean, they were saying shit, like I said before, like fucking, they were just dumping out like terms that they pull out of their ass, dude. The excitated atoms, we have to double the galvanized beams, It was insane. I don't even know how to talk about it. But I can tell you, it was one of the most fun watches of the year. I was just really drunk, and I was just watching. I was like, there's no way this can get more ridiculous right now. I'm running out of words to describe it. Like, okay, fuck it. We put this in the hell tier. I don't know what's wrong with Doctor Who. They need to get their shit together. Or maybe they don't, because it's still coming out after all this time. Who's funding this thing? Who knows, man? Who knows? I don't know, bro. Sakamoto Days. I watched a few episodes of that. It's not very good. Predator. The Predator franchise is popping off. It's popping off this year. It really is. Not this year. In the last few years. In the last few years, we got Prey. We got Predator Badlands. We're getting Killer of Killers. There's more on the way. This surprised me. By how good it was. I really liked, actually, that we followed the three characters and then had them team up in the end. It was surprisingly good animation. I don't like the ending. I think the ending made them reveal their hand as like this is just more IP expansion tactics, and we don't really care. But as far as the actual progression of the movie itself, I had a lot of fun with it. You know what? I was like, I can't put this in this tier, but I also can't have it below 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later, honestly, like, even though it wasn't that good, like, it was so well shot. It was so engaging. All right, but yeah, Killer of Killers, a nice little animated film. There it is. Severance Season 2. We're not going in backwards order. I'm picking them as I go, as they stand out to me. Severance Season 2. Here's another thing. Severance Season 1, I liked it. It was really good, honestly. But people were talking about it like it's the next greatest show to be released. I don't know where they got that idea from. It was never hitting me like that. It was never that deep to me, and I didn't think I thought it was paced strangely, or I do think there was dead space in the first season, and I do think that there was some aspects of fleshing out the world that I didn't think made sense to me. But once you get into the swing of things and you see what the show is really going for, it really grows on you, and I really love Season 1. And Season 2 really continued more of the same. I like the ending the most. I like that one plot line with what's his name? The guy who leaves, who gets fired, and like absconds with the other guy from the other department. I wouldn't put it fire. I think there was like episode 7 could have been massaged into the other episodes. It was shorter and like focused on just the one journey, and it didn't need to be. That was like I feel like the show took a pause there. It wasn't as good as Season 1, but I wouldn't put it. I don't really see it the way that other people see it like that. I'll just put it as good. The Electric State. Well, how do people, bro? I could hardly make it through the first 10 minutes of this movie because they were like hammering home. They said like 50 times, Millie Bobby Brown's character to her brother, like, "Oh, actually, you just took that test, right? You just took that test and you got a good result, right? Yeah, no, it was a really good result. Like, you're like a genius, and you took that test, right? And you were like a genius, and like you passed it with fun. You're like smarter than Einstein, and you're like so smart." And this was the first 10 minutes of the movie is they were just hashing. I was like, I get it. I get it. He's a smart kid. Why is this the first 10 minutes of the movie? And the movie never got better from there. This movie was fucking awful. It wasn't horrific. You really need to be special to be horrific. But this was, I don't know how they came up with a movie this bad. I don't know. This was stupid. I don't even, I feel like I'm saying less and less of substance as this thing goes on. My brain is just melting apart. You know, it's bad. It's bad. The end. Don't watch it. Oh, Rick and Morty season 8. Rick and Morty, I can't believe it. Rick and Morty was so peak in seasons 1 and 2, and then season 3 came out, and then the show got picked up for like a 70 episode deal, and then Rick and Morty actor got canceled. Whatever. The season 3 is when. If you watch the first 2 seasons and then you watch the rest of the show, all right, yeah, the first 2 seasons are just made better. You know, they have better dialogue, better this and that. But what really is the difference between the last few seasons of the show and the first few seasons is Rick and Morty, from the first episode, was advertised, was presented to us as this crazy romp through the infinite universe where anything can happen and you can find anything. And the portal gun takes us to different dimensions. And then we get to the recent episodes, the recent seasons, and we're staying in one universe. And every crazy thing we find is on a different planet, and the portal gun is broken half the time. We're not going to different dimensions anymore. This was the whole concept of Rick and Morty to start with. This is the very thing that it built itself off of. And like, it's getting worse, sure, whatever. But it's not even about what it used to be about. I think we go across the dimensions in like one episode in this show, in season 8, and it's Jerry doing it, and I'm just like, guys, like, it's one thing to just make something bad, it's another thing to not even know what you're making. Pay attention to the first few seasons and tell me that you're making the same show right now. You're not. But honestly, there were still funny moments. You know, I expected to be completely taken out by this season, but you know, there were still moments that I was on board with it, and I thought like, this is good stuff. Even I think the Jerry episode was good. But it's just like, there's so many other aspects as well where it's like, this is just not the same show, and that's unfortunate. As for the new actor for Rick and Morty, I can't tell a difference. I literally can't. I'm voice deaf. Like, it sounds fine to me, so that's never been an issue to me. The Naked Gun. Oh, that's mid. That's a mid movie. Next. People were like, oh, we're returning to comedy. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Maybe if I'd seen it in theaters where the audience was laughing, I would have laughed with them. Because a lot of times, you know, when somebody laughs, everybody laughs when you're in an audience, and suddenly everything's more funny because at least somebody is always laughing at something. I feel like that's what would have happened in The Naked Gun. But I was watching it by myself. I was like, I mean, fine. Like, I get it. Okay, haha. That's funny. You know, it's funny because it's not funny. You're making anti-jokes and you're going for humor. This movie achieved everything I wanted to, okay? And normally I would give a movie like that a 7, but I didn't laugh, and it's a comedy. I laughed a couple of times, so for me personally, it has to have failed. And they copy-paste the exact same plot of Kingsman: The Secret Service into this, which was really distracting somehow. So I put it at the mid-tier. Smiling Friends Season 3. Smiling Friends Season 3 is one of the greatest things coming out these days. I can't believe how good this is. I can't believe how much effort they put into making the different skits, the different sections of it, with completely different artistic mediums as well. Like, it fires on all cylinders. It has really funny dialogue that sounds like it's just normal people talking more so than most things, but while also being hilarious at the same time. And, you know, they even slip in a little commentary in there from time to time. This is just peak. It's still going strong. I expected it to fall off in season 3. It did not. This was, I mean, fuck, it's a masterclass. Why not, dude? I mean, no, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know, man. That Mr. Frog episode. The Glep ep? Come on. This is not masterclass. Smiling Friends, man. I love it. I love it. What can I say? Like, if I had to watch anything on this list again right now, I mean, Smiling Friends would be high on the list, so I have to put it that high. Like, it's just, it's not a typical. I mean, it's got 10-minute episodes. It's so unserious, but it's pure entertainment of the highest order. That's what really counts. Record of Ragnarok, season 3. Why am I watching this show? Well, I'll tell you. It's because when I first discovered the show and I heard the premise, the final battle between humanity and the gods is we have 13 fights. We pick popular like famous, like classic legendary humans, iconic humans throughout history, and we pit them against like the most well-known gods. and we're fighting to the death as humanity watches on in the rafters, and like we're cutting to like other humans that maybe they're not actually fighting, but we recognize them. I don't know. That's one of the greatest concepts, premises I've ever heard of. I want to see a good version of that show, and Record Ragnarok is not that. I watch it just so I can imagine how amazing this concept could be if executed well, but it's not. It's not. I mean, the animation again, it blows Invincible season 3 out of the water. Everything but One Punch Man season 3 does. There's, I love the idea behind the show. I love it, but at the end of the day, all the fights come down to punching between literal, like the most iconic humans and gods ever, and they're punching each other, and it's like, I punched him. He's feeling it now. Oh, what? He just had a little flashback, and he's gonna punch me, and now he's gonna punch me harder. What, dude? No. And it goes back and forth, and then somebody wins, and that's every single fight. Even I was watching this season. I was hyped for Tesla to come in. I was like, how's he gonna fight? Oh, he's gonna punch. They're gonna punch each other. The fights are not up to. I mean, this is why like the Jack the Ripper fight was basically the best one, because he's actually using all of London. He's throwing knives and doing weird things. At least he wasn't just punching. All right, that was an interesting fight. I still don't think Jack the Ripper should have been chosen as one. I get where they were going with it, the way they ended up explaining themselves as to why, but and the way they contrasted him to Hercules, whatever. And the show just doesn't live up to the potential, but I will watch it until the end because it's the closest thing I get to this peak premise. Genuinely, one of the greatest. I want to see this show fully. I want to see this concept, this premise realized to its full extent. Almost more so than any premise I've ever heard. I mean, it's so crazy good. The Old Guard 2. I watched The Old Guard 1 several years ago. I'm surprised they even made this movie. It was bad. It was forgettable. It wasn't. The first movie promised like this villain return, and then she wasn't even the villain of the second one. I don't know. There's not much to. I don't know. I don't even know why I watched this. It was very forgettable. Well, actually, we'll save this. We'll save the long walk. We'll save the spoilers. We're gonna save the long walk until the end. Squid Game Season 3, the birth of this channel, 7 months ago, when I uploaded for 1 month and then stopped, but I will continue. I'm gonna do it. But I did it. I watched one episode of Season 3, and I was like, I've been thinking of making a reaction, movie talk, whatever channel. It's time. Like, this is insane. And then the rest of and then every episode got progressively worse from that. I was so sure. I was like, obviously, if you're gonna react to a show, you want to react to something you love. And then it's Squid Game Season 3 that fucking fumbles the end and then spams the CGI baby and kills the main character and doesn't make sense. But the first few episodes, amazing. Season 2, amazing. I would still put it as good at the end of the day. Just because they fumbled like the last few episodes, they started one pacing it. They started dragging out the plot lines. I would never ever have guessed that this guy would be looking for the island till the very end, and then like pull up and do nothing and leave. It really fumbled the ending, but the first few episodes were just classic Squid Game to the point where I have to put it in good tier. Jurassic World Rebirth. Oh my flippin' dippin'. Goodness gracious, I can't believe this is that One Piece problem, bro. Where people are like, where else am I gonna get dinosaur movies from? And so I have to watch Jurassic World and get it to $1 billion so that they'll keep making more dog shit Jurassic World movies. It's bad. It's so bad. Why are you making Jurassic World movies, and in Dominion you're not even making them about dinosaurs? It's about like locusts. And then in this movie, you're like, people don't even care. Dinosaurs are boring and nobody cares. You're literally making a dinosaur movie that you want people to come see. And people came out and saw it. It got like trillions of dollars again. And your premise, you open up like, dinosaurs, who they're boring. What? Yeah, if you're doing it like that, dinosaurs aren't boring. But Jurassic World seems to think so. And when you think that, you become boring. If you got no faith in your own self, I don't know. Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense in this. Like, the dinosaurs look cool, but the progression of the plot itself, what they're trying to do, nothing makes sense on any level. It's so full of stupid. I can't even get into it. The mid and bad tier are really growing. I thought that there would be more things in the higher tiers, but it is what it is. Sometimes, I told my friend, like, I don't like Invincible Season 3, and he was like, you know me, personally, I like to like things. I hate this take so much. You think I don't like to like things? I love to like things. I'll go into everything wishing they would be so amazing and it would be the best thing I've ever seen. But I ain't gonna delude myself and lower the bar every time I don't see something good. That's what I have to do. I gotta stick to that. War of the Worlds. War of the Worlds. It's the meme movie that came out this year. It's the meme. It's the funny movie. Haha, funny movie. Haha, bad funny movie. I mean, it was. The thing is, when I'm watching like these things in horrific tier, like my brain hurts. Like it's hard for me to even power through it. War of the Worlds was not like that. It was kind of fun to watch, but at the end of the day, you evaluated. You know, they used real war footage. They had the. Nothing made sense throughout the whole movie. The aliens want to eat the data. Bro's like watching his wife's Facebook picture disappear. All absurdly dumb movie from start to finish, but it was fun to watch, and so it only goes here. In fact, hell, it goes. Why not here? Why not here? In fact, you know, I wasn't ripping out what's left of my hair when I was watching this. So at least there's that. But every bad thing you've heard about it, you're like, yeah, nothing makes sense in this movie. You know, the Ice Cube reactions to the world ending. What? Whoa. Yeah, it's fun. It's the meme movie, okay? Funny, ha. Moving on. Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Now You See Me, it started out an actual movie about magic. They were performing tricks on the audience by breaking down exactly how this seemingly impossible bank heist went down. And then they're showing how it worked. And then it's like, oh, so there really was a way to do it. And it wasn't just movie magic. They actually explained in world how they did this trick. And then when they go on to like jump off the stage and fly away and turn into bills, which is something you can't do, by then it's like, okay, you performed the magic trick. You made us feel like, okay, no matter how crazy it seems, there's ways to do it. And I appreciated that about the first movie. Not to mention they were straight up like, the one where like he's like memorize a card and then the card appears on the building. That was all good stuff. That's all possible. Like, that's just real magic right there. And the movie was full of that. But then we get to the second movie, and we have this insane... the card handling scene in the second movie has like 100 million views on YouTube, because it's just so... It's so entertaining. But even in the comments, you know, like, everybody's saying, like, this is the most nonsensical thing I've ever seen. This makes less than no sense. And the third movie is no different. It's like, you're not doing real magic. You're not explaining, you know, anything that you do, except for, like, really a couple of, like, random... superficial things, and you know, we have this new cast. Why I don't want to see the new cast. This is Now You See Me. Why do we have to have the old ones in the back, like the ones that we were following for the first two movies? Why are they not here? Why are you even making this 10 years later? Well, here's why. It's because Now You See Me franchise is the only place to get movies about magic in the past 10 years. You know, before that we only had a couple examples anyways, like The Prestige. You know, the magic... I used to be really into magic. I'm not anymore, but I want to see movies about magic. And Now You See Me is not one of them. Unfortunately, I am only on episode 5 of Peacemaker. I heard the ending was bad. It's hard to believe as the biggest James Gunn glazer on the world, but that's what I heard. I mean, I you know, and to be honest, even up to where I watched, up to episode 5, I was feeling like, are we treading water again? Is this another show that's just kind of... Is James Gunn even falling into that trap where shows just kind of like stay in the same place the whole season? It kind of started to feel like that, so we'll see. But for now, I gotta put that in the inconclusive tier. Now we have Sinners. Sinners was that big name this year. Sinners was that thing that everyone was about. Everyone was on that Sinners grind. Everybody loves Sinners. It's the greatest thing. It's the most hyped thing. And I get it. I understand. In fact, I'll even put it in fire tier. But it didn't hit me the same way. I didn't... Let me return... Here's what I said about it. If I'm going to be real with you, it has fantastic direction. It has masterful cinematography. It has incredible music. It has a thoughtful exploration of many themes. But it felt too long to me. It felt a little bit too split between which main theme to focus on. I'm somebody that thinks that movies should be able to be boiled down to one thing. Obviously, they can be about a lot of things, but they always have a core. And I felt like this didn't, like, I felt like I was split between two cores of this movie. I don't know. I felt like its exploration of the characters were not as deep as it sounded like they were from hearing everybody else. You know, it blew many people's minds. There was like, you know, this is my favorite movie of the year. This is one of the best things ever. I see it. I understand. All right, I get it. And now we get two The Long Walk, December 30th, 2025. I'm sitting down. I'm like, I'm going to watch another movie today. Why not? So at that point, Nezha 2 was my favorite movie of the year. And I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to end the year with a 9 out of 10 movie as my favorite. There it is. I mean, The Long Walk, whatever. I'm going to watch it, I guess. I don't really know much about it. And the movie started, and I start off, I was cynical starting off. I was like pointing fingers, like, oh, why is this and why is that? The movie starts to progress, and I start yapping less and less. I start leaning forward more and more. We get to that scene during the first night of the walk, where like they start going uphill, and everything kind of accumulates. As we emerge from that scene up until the next day, by then I was so in. I was so in that the movie had completely won me over by that point. Everything that I had thought I had an issue with, I no longer had an issue with, and I was so. This movie was like a class in existentialist philosophy, which I love, and they just dished it out. They were dishing out the philosophy. They were dishing out the character moments. They were dishing out the one-liners, or not just the crazy like insightful dialogue they had. They had brutal deaths. The scenario felt real. It was taken so seriously, and it was also just felt like true to life. I mean, where the movie or the book originally was about the Vietnam War, and how we're sending off our kids to die for nothing, and then we're claiming nationalism, and the movie's relevant today, in the context of the late stage capitalism and still war and nationalism, all that. And effectively, to me, it just really it just felt raw and real the whole way through. Starting from like an hour through, I started holding back tears. And by the time we got to the last 5 minutes, I couldn't do it anymore. I just started crying for the first time and only time this year. Watching anything. The Long Walk. Shot in the last 3 days of the year. 2 days. December 30th, yeah. In the last 2 days of the year, out of nowhere, The Long Walk came and fucking executed me on the spot, dude. Like I'm fucking Curly in the start. Okay, I don't know. Listen, as Robert Meyer Burnett said, this movie is uncompromising. It's difficult to watch, and it has a lot to say. If you buy into this movie, if this movie draws you in the way it did with me, I think it's impossible to not be walking away with your mind beyond blown. It's so effective. It's not raw entertainment the way most of the other things on this list are. And you don't have to be this like thoughtful, social commentary that makes me cry for me to have you as my favorite thing of the year. But in this case, it just blew everything out of the water. The character, the acting especially. I should have known I was in for something different when Judy Greer, I think is her name, as his mom, as the main character's mom starts like having a panic attack at the start. I was like, wait. People don't act like this at this level in movies. Like, why are they going all out for this? And I realized why as the movie went on. It hits you so hard. Some people are taken out by Mark Hamill as the major. That never, probably because we don't see his eyes the whole time. He had the sunglasses on the whole time, and it never like registered to me, even though I knew it was him. And it was just brutal to watch, but also like cathartic. I don't know. Even though I had a sad ending, listen, this is just cinema. All right, I don't know. I feel like this video's been 3 hours. I've been yapping, but it was all leading up to this, dude. The Long Walk. I mean, the fact that they're walking every scene really lends to like the sense of motion. Like you'd think that they're just walking and talking, that could be really boring, and it can be. But if you're doing it well, then it really adds to it the sense of like urgency. They're always walking along, and it just gets your blood boiling, gets your heart rate up, and you really start to care about every character, even the characters that were presented as assholes. Eventually, they get turned around, and it's like, actually, well, here's what they're really about. Here's what was really going on, and they do that for every character, and it's just so effective. I don't care about predictability. Some people talk about, it was predictable. I don't care how predictable something is. If you pull it off, you pull it off. In fact, most stories are kind of supposed to tell you how they end as they're starting out, like One Piece. And the first time. It tells you how it ends. Luffy becomes the Pirate King, and if that's what's supposed to happen. If that doesn't happen, then One Piece has failed, obviously, in its promise. So a lot of things are supposed to be predictable. It's about the journey, and the Long Walk was that journey, dude. That blew my mind. I mean, it's one of the greatest movies I've seen at this point. There it is. That's my list. How am I gonna get this into one frame?